All right, this is the August video chat. Uh, well, okay, for first news, dialogue for the next Freeman's Mind is done. So, that's coming out whenever the people helping me with like the sound effects and volume are done, and I'm not gonna rush them, but yeah, I doubt it'll be too long. Um, Next news, my countdown plan is kind of falling apart because it's basically this one of the side videos I was doing just keeps going on and on and on, and it's driving me a little crazy. If I had to do it over again, I probably wouldn't have started this one, but I'm so far into it. It would be more painful to just stop. So I want to get that done. I want to get another kind of normal-ish side video done. I'm getting help on that one. And what, get a game dungeon follow up and maybe a couple more of this normal game dungeons. And then I'll take, I don't know how long of a hiatus where I'm just going to be working on the movie. I realized I don't think it's going to need to be as long as I thought, depending on how I do, because what I realized is I don't need to be working on the movie 100% all day, every day, but I do in order to learn stuff, I think. So once I have like the procedures down for every like process, then I think I can resume doing other videos while I continue more on the movie. But it's like when I'm doing research on things and I have to like switch gears to go back to other videos, then that kind of just, it doesn't help. So that's my plan at the moment. My plans keep getting trashed, but I'm really gonna try and get this one damn video done. On the plus side, it's one that I think could be helpful for some people once I get it done. So, oh yeah, announcements with the interviews. I'm gonna keep doing those, but I realized you'd think this would have occurred to me sooner. I realized I shouldn't keep putting those on the main channel because I realized that's the whole goal. That's the whole reason I hide or put unlisted the video chats after a month, is so they don't clutter up the main channel and it's easier to see the main videos. So I'm gonna keep the first two recent ones I did, like the AI ones, since those were higher profile ones. And the ones from here on out, my plan is to put those on the Accursed Farms junk channel, which still exists. And I'll link to those in Twitter, on Twitter and on the website, and maybe I might even make like a short PSA video on it to let people know what I'm doing. But it'll still be the same on Twitch, and like it'll probably still be similar frequency. It's just I don't want to clutter up the main channel with that because it's not something that takes like something that has like 100 hours of prep time behind it or something like that, you know. So maybe put a poll in the main channel community tab. No, that's not a bad idea. I might still just put it on the junk channel because I don't know. It's like I don't want to bury the videos that I'm putting a lot more effort into. So that's the other aspect of it. Plus, I mean, you can look at the view count alone. You know, Game Dungeon, Freeman's Mind, those typically going to break 100,000, whereas the interviews are like few thousand. So you know, I think that in itself is kind of the community speaking. So yeah, it's kind of a mess. I'll probably just re-upload. I'll probably unlist the past two ones I did, the art one and just the Game Talk one. So, and then re-upload those on Accursed Farms junk. And I think that should work out. So we'll see. But let's see, do I have any other announcements? I've just really been working on the videos a bunch, except it doesn't show because this one is turning into like a black hole. But it's I think I'm through the worst. Well, maybe. I was gonna say I think I'm through the worst part, but it's not clear. This is one of those where I don't know how exactly it's gonna turn out. But okay, so I should get to the questions then. Oh yeah, this. Okay, the first question. I don't really have a great answer for this. Saying, what is the most recent AAA game that you think can make a good 40-minute plus game dungeon on? And also, is there a game you would like to make a several hours long video about, similar to long YouTube essays, if you had all the time and resources in the world? Well, to the second question, no. I mean, I almost consider it kind of a failure when I'm going over 40 or 45 minutes because I'm thinking, this is getting too long. Like, it's just me rambling a bunch. And I know that's what a few people want, but I think I wanted to, I like having good sort of time efficiency, as in things I'm showing you or points I'm bringing up for the time allocated. So even if I'm rambling, I want it to be kind of like concise rambling. You know, I think it makes for a better video then. So no, if that said, the movie should be, that's going to be more of a challenge to get the movie down in time, like, because I want it to be like normal movie watching length. So no, if I had all the time and resources, I would just want to do more original stuff, like, you know, with its own storylines, characters, that sort of thing. I see Game Dungeon as I see Game Dungeon, Freeman's Mind, most everything on the channel is just kind of the compromise to get something out, you know. For the first one, yeah, the most recent AAA game, I think I can make a good 40-minute plus Game Dungeon on. Well, I mean, again, I don't even know how to answer that because I'm generally not playing brand new games because they tend to have more bugs and they're expensive. Whereas I'm just getting, I mean, especially for single player. I mean, yeah, if you have multiplayer stuff, I could see where you want to be like first in the door. But for single player, you're getting like pretty much an objectively better experience by waiting. So I tend to just write down the title name if I'm interested in it and just kind of forget about it until, you know, it goes cheap for later. And the other thing is when when I think I might be interested in a game, I try to just not look into it deeper. Just, you know, I have the title, it sort of passes my initial screening. So that way when I go into it, I have more of a surprise and I enjoy it more that way. So I don't know which ones would make a good game dungeon. I was actually considering making a game dungeon on, what is it, Doom 2016 or Doom Eternal, but I became less motivated about that. There was basically one point I wanted to bring up with it, and the rest would have just been kind of, I don't know. I felt like it didn't have like enough for an episode. So I'll just say the main point I was thinking of it was that they're good games, but they're not good first-person shooters. They're like a hybrid game. Like, you know how like Deus Ex is like half first-person shooter, or it's like a first-person shooter RPG hybrid. So like, you know, it's a fantastic game, but if you going in there expecting like a good shooter, it's Deus Ex. It's not that good a shooter. You know, it's or something like Arma series. That's like a first-person shooter slash like realism simulator tactical combat thing. So if you're going in expecting like lots of action and running around, it's not going to be that sort of thing. And I figure Doom is like a first-person shooter. I don't even know what the subgenre would be called. Like, I would say sort of like a combo game. You know, something where you have to do something to set up something else. Like what comes to mind is, I'm sure there's a ton of games like this, but this is the one I'm thinking of. Like in Diablo 2, the assassin class, it's a bunch of the attacks are based on like setting things up and then doing the finisher move, you know. And Doom is like that. But like you can't like it had put such an heavy emphasis on finishing the enemies with a melee attack. Like to the point where it's kind of ridiculous if you're expecting a normal first-person shooter. So I think that explains why like a lot of people like hate it or a lot of people love it and think it's not really a first-person shooter. It's a hybrid shooter. Yeah, rhythm shooter maybe. So yeah, somebody's saying that in the chat. Yeah, so it's something. I mean, it doesn't really use a rhythm system exactly, but it's like they really, really want you to be finishing the kills with melee combat, like to a large degree, and that's not what shooters are about normally. They're about shooting. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe if I felt really inspired, I'd do one, but I feel like there was enough there because I think that's why people who don't like it, it's because they're expecting a shooter, and it's a hybrid. But from reading reviews and everything, you don't see them label it that way. They're talking about like, oh, it's the next evolution. It's like, well, no, if you really like this, that means you may not really like just pure shooters. But if that said, there is a lot of thought to the mechanics that they are doing for that kind of hybrid style. So but yeah, you have to have your expectations checked at the door with that game, with those games, I think. But yeah, so I mean, for AAA titles, I don't know. I'm just guessing in the dark. Like I'm probably on any given. I mean, sometimes there's a higher ratio than normal, but I'd say on average, I'm usually not interested in more than like 10% of them, because usually it's like either the gameplay I don't find that interesting or the theme. It's like, well, it's not really drawing me in from the promotional material or. So I made a list of the more recent AAA games I'm interested in. So if people want to know that, I have Atomic Heart, Returnal. Well, I guess this isn't that recent. Cyberpunk. I'm 2077. I'm still waiting for them to finish it because apparently they promised a lot. I remain kind of in the dark, but from what I heard, they promised a lot of features in it that they never delivered on. But they're releasing an expansion, and the rumors are they're adding a lot of core features that the game should have had. So maybe they'll finally finish what they were, promoting from years back. So, yeah, it's The Last of Us PC port, which I've heard was buggy or had frame rate issues. So, I mean, I'll probably play it eventually. Yeah, not exactly a new game, but it's because it's based on the PS4 or Elden Ring. Though I think I should play. I've played through Dark Souls 1 and 2 with cheats. I don't care. I should probably play through Dark Souls 3 first because I've heard Elden Ring is better. So I'd rather have it get better and better rather than, go have the downgrade afterwards. So. Diablo 4, which I'm not sure what to expect because I've heard really mixed reports because some people really like it, some people think it's awful. I don't know. I do get the feeling I might like it more the way I usually play Diablo-type games, is just to kind of play through the campaign once and that's it. Or if I really like it, then I might replay on a different class or something. But other people, they play Diablo games as basically a lifestyle choice, where, no, that is their game. They're dumping hundreds of hours into it. And I get the feeling for that crowd, they may not be too happy with 4, but I don't know. Let's see. And yeah, I guess that's it for like the ones I'm kind of most looking forward to for AAA titles. Okay, see, somebody's mentioning, will I ever play Halo Infinite? I mean, I don't know. See, I played the first Halo, and I thought it was like okay. I'm sorry if that's blasphemy if you're a major Halo fan, but I mean, it was just sort of okay to me. So I'm just kind of expecting the sequels to just be kind of okay, and that's kind of my feeling towards a lot of the vibe I get from a lot of like AAA games. It's like, well, it's probably okay, but I'm just so spoiled for choice with games. See, that's just it. I'm pretty open-minded as to like the level of production value behind a game, depending on what they're aiming for. It's like, well, like with a movie, you could watch some big $100 million blockbuster thing that, or you could watch like, or I could watch like some budget comedy, but that's really good writing. It's like I might enjoy both equally. It just, and it's kind of the same thing with games. It's like, well, if it's a smaller scale game, fine, or if it has pixel art graphics instead of enormous budget 3D graphic, fine. My brain switches gears to those pretty easily. Um, Plus, what the yeah, I was gonna say a lot of indie games now, like people would have killed for in the '90s. Like, in other words, they're not AAA only because they're being released like in this year. If they were released in the '90s, this would be like top banner game. With again like pixel art type stuff because they'll have production value that just rivaled the best of like what was out in the '90s. So it's like I kind of look at them that way. That like, oh wow, this is great. Here's like a top tier game disguised as an indie game. Is how I look at it. So, but yeah, I'm probably the wrong person to come to for opinions on lots of AAA games. I'm not interested in most of them lately. Again, it just kind of has to. A whole lot of it can be the theme for me. So if I really like the atmosphere of what I'm seeing and like it's creating like a sense of intrigue in my mind, then I'm going to be more on board. And I'm seeing that more from indie games, but who knows? There could be one year where there's like 10 I'm interested in. Or it can vary. Let's see. If you could have a chat with a member of the development team from any Game Dungeon game in your conversation show, what game would you choose and what questions would you be dying to ask? I don't know. Like well probably the one I was most interested in already kind of happened, which was what was the original ending for Phantasmagoria 2, and I watched the live stream with Loyalay Shannon. So although my brain is fuzzy about her answer, which makes me think that maybe it wasn't really answered or there wasn't a lot there, because I feel like I would have latched on to the answer. And I remember kind of waiting for it. And so, well, and another one I got to talk to through Tom White, who invited me on. I got to talk to Alexander Brandon, the composer, did a lot of music to Unreal, Deus Ex. And so that was great. I guess a lot of these. I don't know. It's. I was trying to. I don't have like a lot of. Like people lined up and like dying to talk to because. I think it's like a combination of things, or just how my brain's wired. Where, on one aspect, once I do a Game Dungeon episode, I kind of feel like. By the time I'm done with those, I kind of feel like I really know that game now, or as much as I care to. So because I've gone through it slowly, looked at footage, wrote the script, recorded it. So I've spent a lot of time on it. So even if there's details I'm unaware of, I feel like I got like the full experience by the time I've made a Game Dungeon episode on it. So that's one thing. Another thing is I kind of like not peering behind the curtain too much in most games or movies or, things of fiction, that sort of thing. Because then it's like the more I dive into that, the more it stops feeling less like a game in its own little world and more just like a technical project where you see all the aspects that go into that. And I totally understand people being fascinated into that. But I found that like over time that can sort of like reduce my not appreciation exactly. I guess enthusiasm for it. Whereas if I just kind of think of it as its own little world and just move on, then like later when I think back of it, it kind of rings nicer in my head. Like I think I mentioned in was it the Sonic episode when I was thinking of Sonic Heroes? I was thinking, was that real? Because my memories of it were that I'm like up like a mile in the air above this like city. Structured like that's like the entire city's a giant casino, and like I'm having this vertigo feelings, and so I'm thinking like was it really like that, or was my brain amplified? So there was a much better kind of residual memory of that game because of that, because I just kind of played it once and that was it. I was done with it. So yeah, not to downplay like what the people are doing at all, but it's like I don't have like this burning desire to like find out like every little aspect about it. On the contrary, it's like I'd rather, like, if they were going to make more, I'd rather them just kind of do it in secret and then like, all right, here's our expansion, for it or something like that, and so they can kind of wow me with the arranged experience, that sort of thing. So yeah, I guess that's not my thing as much. I don't know, but I mean, a few that came to mind. I was curious of the thought process for that one puzzle in Armed and Delirious, where it was just raw trial and error for like 30 minutes or something. Well, a lot of adventure games in general, like what was the thought process for having just completely nonsense puzzles? I would be kind of curious as to their answers for that. I mean, there's probably more questions I've forgotten about, but yeah, that's what I found from playing games is like, don't burn it into your head in every last facet of it, and then I'll have better memories of it down the line, you know. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, just move on to more questions. Have you considered making the conversations with guests into an audio podcast series? I expect many people would enjoy having them available on their podcast apps. It might bring a new audience to your content. I mean, possibly, but well, I mean, I do this, but maybe let me ask the audience: is it that much trouble just taking like the YouTube URL and throwing it into some convert to MP3 link or program or something like that? I mean, because I kind of want to like minimize the amount of time I'm throwing in on it, and even though that's a very simple thing to do, is just convert it to audio on my end. It's for some reason like the little things kind of like wear down my mental energy in weird ways, and one of them is like, okay, converting that, then upload it somewhere, then post the link here, post the link on this social media, post the link on this social media. And like, I don't know. I always hate doing that aspect of it, but yeah, it's somebody's saying 99% of people won't or cannot do that. Okay, well maybe the online converters are virus central. Yeah, that could be true. All right, well I'll consider it. I'll see if find some place to upload the. Yeah, I see. Now I got to figure out like where I'm going to upload them to. See, when the website updated, I mean, maybe I could upload it to the website. It changed that I don't have like normal store, like FTP storage or anything the way I used to on the website now. So it's like I kind of have to find file lockers and stuff for it. But yeah, well, okay, I'll consider it. And somebody's saying, how about a conversation with Lazy Game Reviews? I think everyone would love that. Well, that's up to him. I have to imagine he's quite busy. I don't know how he gets so many videos out. So I'm not seeking to just, soak up his time with chit chat on this. Like, if he's interested, I'll be happy to have him on. We can figure out things to talk about. But yeah. That's why I'm more comfortable with people contacting me, because then I know I'm not like intruding on imposing on them. And actually, I meant to have one either last week or else now, but it got postponed, possibly fell through. The guy I was gonna have on to talk about war games actually hadn't gotten clearance from the military yet. I was thinking, maybe you should do that first. So. That's kind of so maybe that will happen, maybe it won't. I submitted the questions I had for him, so he could run it by if he's able to talk to him, if he's able to discuss about it. I'll set somebody else. So I have some other people I'll set up soon. If all goes well, there'll probably be another one next week. So, But yeah, well, there's still enough people for a few more months. Okay. Do moire patterns or any other illusions specifically seen in everyday reality get the same reaction from you as bad aliasing in games? Well, there. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's moire exactly, but if you see like two chain link fences and start walking along them, for half a second, it alerts me into thinking like, oh, this is the damn pixelation. Then remember, oh wait, no, this is reality. Okay, yeah, it's supposed to do that. So for like half a second, it bothers me, and then remember this is reality. So I think that's the only one that bugs me about the way like aliasing in games do, like that shimmer effect. It's I don't know if shimmer is even the right word for it. Shimmer only covers it partially because you know how you can sort of see that. I don't know what they're called. There's sort of like heat mirages when it's real hot, and you look at a road, it looks like there's like a puddle there because of how the air is distorted by the heat. I mean, that doesn't bother me. That looks kind of cool. So, but that's a shimmer effect, you know. So it's like the pixely shimmer effect, I guess. Okay. And there's one I kind of like around the sidewalks here. Sometimes they'll have this. I guess it's for drainage or something. They'll have these kind of like ridged sections of a sidewalk on the edge, and then sometimes when they have them going diagonally, and then they intersect with one that's just going, straight or vertically, intersecting at the same angle. If you stare at it while you're walking by, it looks like it's moving, and it's weird, but it's kind of neat. So yeah, I don't know why the aliasing one bugs me specifically. And it's not even aliasing in itself. It's like the single pixel, dancing pixels, I guess is what you could call it. I forget. Because it's not, I mean, yeah, I like smooth edges instead of like pixelated edges, but if it was just that, that doesn't bother me that much. But it's the little things, like wires in the distance that are like kind of popping in and out. Let's see. Okay, so I should answer some more questions. If you had to show off a talent for a show like America's Got Talent, what would you show off? Well, like I don't know if I have like any real just like standout talent. So I was thinking about this, and I could at least make for like a good like 2-minute segment or something. Because I actually did this, like I think back in high school. I had this backpack on that had like kind of these puffy straps on it, and what I found is, if I just sort of scratched it with my fingernails, it made this bit of a popping noise, and then if I just kind of folded it over, it made like more of like a muffled popping noise. So just to screw around. Like we were like waiting for class to start, so not everybody was in class yet. I said to like one of my friends next to me, like, "Hey, watch this," and like I went and just kind of like pretended to like kind of crack my neck. Well, I mean I can crack my neck, but not that much. And I did that at the same time, so it made like this muffled popping sound, and then I just collapsed. And then like this one girl in the classroom started screaming, and then I lay there for a second, and then got back up, and my friend was just dying laughing because he knew that's what I was doing. And this guy next to me was saying like, "Dude, I thought you were dead." Like, his eyes are like wide open. So maybe I would just come out on stage and do that, and just collapse limp for like a minute or two, let them freak out, and then just get up and leave. So I wouldn't win any awards or anything, but I wouldn't have wasted. It would have given people some entertainment. So. No, the sound was pretty much perfect for when I did that cracking. Yeah, I mean, I can crack my necks. Let's see. Yeah, okay, that was like one crack. I don't even know if the mic caught it. I don't push it too far though. I can also do one where I like lean back and crack. I don't know. I don't know if it caught that either on the mic. I don't know what, collarbone or something like rib cage. But yeah, that's the best answer I have. Something that they wouldn't regret airing it. You know, it's like, okay, well, that got some views. You know, a guy walks on stage, we thought he killed himself. What's your favorite band you've seen in person? Well, my favorite story on that is one that's so good. I hope to eventually get it like an animation for it. It would be a short. Like, I don't want to spoil it. I guess the one I saw was for favorite band. I haven't been to that many concerts, but I guess out of the ones I have been that I've seen would be the Prodigy. It was just dumb. Yeah, I guess late members from it. It was just dumb luck. It was when we were in Warsaw. We had to go there for something with my passport, and my wife found that they were playing that and really wanted to go to that. And another singer, I don't even remember the name of the one that she wanted to see. Yeah, they were there. Although it was neat hearing it. However, they just went all in on the fog machine. So for all I know, they were just imposters. Like, I never really even saw their faces. So, like, but it's, I mean, out of the bands, I do like a lot of their songs. So it's like, out of the music, those are the favorite ones I've seen in person, maybe. Let's see. Are there skills that you acquired because of gaming and were beneficial to you in real life? Well, I don't know if I can directly attribute it to gaming, but I have to say, I think it's rubbed off a little bit in real life. The main one I can think of is you play a lot of like real-time strategy games. Build order can be a very important aspect of those. Like, you know, you need to, and I found that's something that can carry over into real life a lot. Where if you think that you're trying to accomplish 5 or 6 things, you think about, okay, which of these do I need to start first? Or at least if I'm not doing them first, I need to start this process because then while that's going, I can do this. Whereas if I start that later, then it's going to push me far too back. And I think that's the one I can think of that's like been most applicable to real life is just build order. You know, is like if I need to, yeah, like let's say I need to do like 10 things in one day. One of them's do laundry. Well, I should probably start that, at least where I am here, I should probably start that sooner because I know it's going to be sunny later and that's when it can really dry it. Whereas if I wait and do it later, then it's going to miss the sun. So if I do that first, just starting it, you know, just starting the laundry, that'll be better than if I start something else. Or, you know, I know some work is easier to do when my brain's kind of fried, whereas other work gets a lot better if I'm kind of fresh. So I try to structure those first and do that. I mean, there might be some other game skills, but probably not really that I can think of, or else it's too subtle to me. I mean, so somebody was saying that it helped them because they did keybind. Well, okay, yeah, I guess the ultimate one would be computer repair. That's the whole reason I learned computer repair is because I wanted to get the games working and they weren't working. So I'm trying to figure out how to get them working. And that would lead to a lot of troubleshooting and learning about computers and that sort of thing. So yeah, I've had jobs because of that. Let's see. Yeah, I forgot all about that. Well, I guess, yeah, from one, was it, I remember, I think it was the Maximum PC podcast, that they had one question come in where they asked them, he wanted to get this like a teenager or something, he wanted to get a gaming PC, and he was trying to convince his parents to get it for him, like asking how does he do that, and and what the guy answered was that like a PC, it doesn't just play games. It can be like a gateway to other things, video editing or making a website or like office software. So you can actually, well, like you can also use it for other like real world skills, and the parents might go for that aspect. And I think I'm paraphrasing, but he said something like, whereas if you just get an Xbox, then all you're gonna do is sit on the couch and smoke weed. So it's that was his. So like hype up what else you could do with a PC that stems from having something that can do things besides just play games. Whereas that's all you're gonna do with the Xbox. This was years ago that he was saying this. So I'm sure people have modded Xboxes to do much more than that. Okay, just let's see. But yeah, they're talking about key bindings. I mean, that's something I don't think that really came from games for me. I mean, that's just me wanting to have more efficiency in the workflow. But I actually didn't see this question. I must have missed it, but I'll try to think on the spot. What is a dystopian society concept that you haven't seen conceptualized that you think has great creative potential? Well, I guess I've seen it once. Where I think it was the show, I think it was called Revolution. Let's see a Carrington event. I mean, where like electronics have been knocked out. In that show, it wasn't a Carrington event. It was kind of a mystery what knocked them out. But same concept that like we've gone from modern society and now all electronics don't work. The show itself was so-so, but I thought it was a good concept. There's gotta be some more. Geez, it's too bad I missed this question. Let's see. Because I mean, well, there's I guess I haven't. It's kind of similar. There was a book called Lucifer's Hammer, and it's basically about just like a mega, I think it's like a comet hitting the Earth and just basically knocking out modern civilization. And while we have had movies, like Deep Impact or Armageddon, which is goofier, that's just about the event itself. It's not about like the aftermath of that. And that book was like, I would almost compare it to like Walking Dead level as far as like the stuff they face with the aftermath of the collapse of society. So that's another one. Like, yeah, you could probably have. Actually, I don't think I have seen this one. Like a super volcano. I guess I'm thinking more of like post-apocalyptic than dystopian. Though it's kind of an overlap, but yeah, the aftermath of a super volcano. That would be similar to like a giant asteroid or comet hitting the Earth. What would the aftermath? What would that kind of society look like? Let's see. For dystopian, Well, I guess I have seen some of this, but not to the extent that I'd like to. Maybe just kind of like resource collapse. Like where we have like the current population, but now we can only produce a quarter as much food. So I was saying Soylent Green, the game. So I was saying, wasn't there a super volcano movie? I don't know. I mean, and there's been volcano movies. There's Volcano, Dante's Peak. I don't know about a super volcano one though. Well, I guess what was the plot in 2012? Was that one a super volcano? But again, that's just more about like the event itself. It's like if you're looking at the society, you have to look at like, well, what happens the years afterwards, you know? But yeah, no, I'm sure there's plenty of others. Um, what is the tale behind your former alias Chilled Sanity? And why did you rebrand as Accursed Farms? Oh, I didn't. It wasn't really a rebrand. I had Chilled Insanity as a screen name from, geez, back in high school. I just kind of made it up on the spot, so I just kept using it. When it became, I think it became Chilled Sanity because someone probably already took Chilled Insanity, so I just changed it some. Accursed Farms wasn't really a rebranding. That was just like I figure I should have a name associated with the videos to make it to have like some sort of brand. So yeah, I guess I should modify the YouTube name, or there might be too late. I don't know. I really don't treat marketing with the seriousness I know I should. It's just my heart is so not into it for the most part. So it's not my strength. You covered the Journeyman project in your channel before. Do you think you'll cover the sequels too? Maybe. I have started playing some of 2, but I didn't get very far. I need to, because I've played 3, but I haven't played 2, because the disc was messed up on that trilogy pack I got. But now I have a nice GOG copy. So, yeah, I'm gonna go through it. I'm definitely interested in it. But yeah, again, I didn't get very far. I mean, I went through the beginning. I checked out like some of the Mayan pyramid, and then I went to the medieval European times. I wandered around some. I think I died, so just got to pick up the saves and load some more then. 2012 was every kind of disaster. Yeah, it was. Yeah, they had like tidal waves in that one. I know, but that one was on the goofier side. Let's see. What sort of system do you use, if any, to help your productivity? To-do lists, scheduling on Google Calendar, apps, an army of gremlin servants. Well, I would love the latter, but it's still pretty. I'm a bit dysfunctional with like keeping track of everything, but most of what and then there's another like only partially correct reply to this. I mostly just do lists, and they're saying I do it on a piece of paper. I only do the piece of paper stuff usually for when I'm going in and recording footage for a game, and I know I need like a list of like 20 different shots of something. Like, okay, I need me loading this part of the game. Okay, I need me dying here. I need me showing this bug with the game, that sort of thing. I write that one down because sometimes I'm in full screen and alt-tabbing out may not be practical or even possible for some games, or if I alt-tab out, that's it. The game's over. You know, it's crashed. So I do that so I don't have to switch back. For the most part, I do that just on the computer. And on my UI, I have one of my buttons is like I have like an icon of a piece of paper there. I click on that, and it's like several lists. Like, and the to-do list is one of the ones it's half a to-do list and half just I'm busy. I don't have time to organize everything, but there's like some concept I want to write down, or there's like a link I really want to save. I just throw that in there. So that's kind of like a to-do / all-purpose list. So like if I see something interesting, but I don't want to spend more than 3 seconds on it right now, I want to come back to it later, I'll just copy, paste it there, and then boom, it's done. So I don't have to think about it. But yeah, let's see what I have it's called procedure here. Those are a list of all these different tips for Windows. So if I ever have to like start a system fresh, Windows and other applications I might use a lot. So yeah, like I'm looking through here. I have turn data execute prevention on and off if some programs need that. Let's see. Oh yeah, one of them is how Terracopy works because, and I wrote down notes because this is if you want to copy something and really verify it. And I had to write down how it works because if you put the source of the directory and then you put the target directory, but there's like a subfolder, it'll copy the name of the subfolder even though you told it not to do that. So you have to account for that. I remember that really threw me off. These are like just the miscellaneous notes that I'm probably not going to need them again for like years, but when I do, it's probably going to save me half an hour of time when I do. Or yeah, I wrote down some notes to try to get to turn off the micro stutter on video playback. Let's see. Yeah, for VMware, how to add 16-bit color mode to it because it does for 98 because it doesn't support that normally. You have to do a little. It's usually defaults to like 32-bit, and you have to do an extra option to re-enable 16-bit color. It's all sorts of miscellaneous kind of system stuff like that. So yeah, I have one for LibreOffice, how to move a column. I have absolutely I've probably wasted a full hour in total how to do that. And I have here select column, click on cell in column, hold down for a second, then drag. So yeah, don't hit so don't just select the column and try to move that. That won't work. You have to select it in the cell and hold it down. Like, I don't know. It wasn't intuitive to me, but. So yeah, just miscellaneous software like that. Other list, I have my giant wallpaper list that I'm slowly going through. I have a list of movies and shows I want to watch. More recently, I have a list of movies and shows that I've seen. So if that way in the future, it's like, oh, have I seen this? I could just look it up. And the games. Well, I have like a whole spreadsheet and stuff related to games. Like games, I've acquired and haven't added to my database of games yet, but I should at some point so I can keep track of everything I have. I have games I'm interested in, games that I'll put on the website later for the games list. Let's see. Yeah, soundtracks to games I want to check out. Games I know I'm not going to play, but I am interested in watching a walkthrough of. Let's see. The games my wife might be interested in. Those occasionally come up. So yeah, I have that all under this big spreadsheet there. But yeah, mostly just text files. So. Okay, I'll just look at, since I noticed in the chat, what do you think of AI creators on YouTube? They're saying, sorry, I forgot the rules. I don't have many rules for the, don't be super obnoxious. I guess that's the only real rule on the chat. I mean, if you want to have tangential conversations, that's fine. What do I think of AI creators? Well, there's been, YouTube keeps trying to recommend those to me. I feel like it's a bit of, most of what I've seen, it feels like a bit of a one-trick horse where they, you had the Harry Potter, Balenciaga, but then they'll have stuff like, Star Wars where everyone's super buff, or one is a weirder one. It's like Dr. Pepper Universe, and it's all it is. It's just a bunch of different images of like really fat guys dressed in like Dr. Pepper, dark red. I don't know. It's neat, but again, kind of a one-trick horse. I feel like I've kind of gotten my fill of that. So maybe there's some other stuff they're referring to. So let's see. Okay, yeah, more questions. So yeah, just general lists, but I have many lists. So I probably will need to develop something more robust for the movie, managing stuff from several people. I was hoping to have more help with that Well, yeah, hell, I guess I can bring it up. If that's the sort of thing you think you would be good at as like a project manager, you can send me a pitch. You know, my email is rosswscott@gmail.com. The someone who can kind of keep track of like all the different wheels moving. Where I might be working at X, Y, and Z. Someone else working at A. Someone's working at B. Someone's working at C. That's sort of for this scene. And a lot of technical organization, but because that's the sort of thing I can do, but I'm not great at multitasking. So if like that's all I'm doing, I'm pretty good at it. But I'm gonna be doing that's not all I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna be doing a hell of a lot more than that. So yeah, project manager, just keeping track of who's doing what and organizing things, what needs to be work, and that sort of thing. If you're the sort of person who likes management sim games, that probably be a good sign. Let's see. Yeah, they're saying I get car sick as a passenger. Yeah, especially if I'm in the back seat. It depends on the car too. Like the smoother the ride, the worse it is. Whereas if it's like a real bumpy one and like an old engine, then I don't get car sick as much. They recently found certain 3D games gave them that feeling too. There's several ways to get nauseous, such as low field of view, head bopping, and looking vertically and turning. Not all games have the option to adjust field of view. Yeah, I think the only ones that like, well, I think there's only one that like genuinely made me ill, like a 2D, 3D game that genuinely made me ill was Resident Evil 5. It might have just been I think that had a demo. But yeah, that one, the FOV was so low. I was just like, oh God. Like I actually felt myself getting sick. However, the original Dead Space might have also, before I modded it. I can't remember, but Resident Evil 5 did for sure. Yeah, I'd say that's primarily going to be a field of view thing. And like maybe like a mouse sensitivity thing. They're saying, what are your solutions to fight against nausea from gaming? I mean, I guess the other thing is, as much as the game allows you, turn slower. Like maybe play at an easier difficulty, but then like lower your mouse sensitivity. So it's like just like you're turning over real slowly, but you don't need like as a competitive edge to kind of compensate for that. But yeah, you also might want to experiment, see if frame rate makes a difference or not. Yeah, somebody's saying Bioshock 1 and 2's default field of view did that for them. I find most don't make me sick, but they'll I don't like it if like the field of view is really narrow. Yeah, it's. Oh, actually, something else you might try is set your monitor to display like per pixel, so it doesn't stretch anything. So if it's a smaller image, it's simply smaller. Then lower the resolution of the game. So you might find that like, so you have like a black border on the sides, and it's just like you're shrinking it. I've actually done that for a few games. Now that I have a nice big monitor that use like really low resolution pixel art. Like I played one not super long ago, Zeo Drifter, where I just straight up just lowered the size of my virtual screen and just had a black border, and it was much nicer to play that way because once it was too big, it just felt like off having the image that big, So that one, yeah, that might. Oh shoot. Okay. I am going to take a quick break because a bug just flew on my monitor. I left the window open, hoping that it would, hoping the screen doors would be enough. I mean, hoping the screens would be enough, but they're not, obviously. So I'm going to shut the window, then open this other door more. I'll be back in just a second. Okay. But yeah, I guess lower the size of the screen if it, and look up if you have. Oh wow, that is an echo. Okay. All right. Hopefully I don't get too lightheaded. Yeah, look up mods for field of view. Like especially like for if it's PC for PCGamingWiki.com. A whole lot of them do have field of view mods, though not all of them. It's always frustrating to me when like it feels too low and there's just no mod for it. But like I would. Okay, this is just a shot in the dark, but I would actually say more games that, you know, you do kind of need a field of view adjustment on, have it through mods than don't. Like, it's been my experience. I mean, you might have to use different programs, like Flawless Widescreen is one. Sometimes you need third-party utilities that have been made for it. Other times you have to, like, edit a config file or that sort of thing, but... So he's asking if I usually wear my glasses when I'm on the computer. Yes, I do. I keep them off for these because I figure it's more photogenic, but like, here are my glasses, so. I'm nearsighted in one eye, have astigmatism in the other, but it's a weak prescription. I can see okay. I actually got custom prescription lenses to fit my VR headsets that you can just kind of put in there. Actually, maybe that's part of the reason I want more field of view is because that puts me back farther just a little bit. Yeah, so it says Zeo Drifter has pixels as big as a child's fist. Yeah, it was much more pleasant shrinking the screen for that one. I'll probably have to do the same thing when I play, was it The Last Door? That's another one I've been wanting to play. And yeah, that one has a low resolution, so... oh yeah, and I guess, well, you can try it. I did it once or twice, but it felt like more of a hassle. Like for VR, I tried taking like ginger pill ahead of time, and it did help some, but it felt kind of weird. But maybe that gives you a little bit more of an edge. Yeah, at first I misread this and thought you were talking about VR, but no, it sounds like they were just talking about like normal game. It's on the screen, 3D games. Yeah, for VR, I mentioned it before, but for whatever reason, it takes me a lot longer to get motion sick doing my 3D theater mode, which in my opinion is like 90% as good as like native VR, as long as you're looking forward, than an actual native VR game where you're like moving around. I mean, my experience is limited with it, but I found like I played Doom VR, or was it GZ Doom VR, and I played a few games on that, and I found myself getting motion sick after maybe like 20 minutes, a little bit before, whereas doing my 3D theater, where everything's still in 3D, it's just that it's just only in front of me, you know, and like the very edges, I can like maybe see the edge, but it basically takes up my whole vision when I zoom in. And I could last like about an hour before I got sick from that. And that's great because you can have a nice chunk of gaming in an hour, you know? And just a really side rant, I'm pretty sure no one is going to hear, but for the creator of VorpX or any other 3D scaling thing for VR, you should let people zoom in and increase the depth as much as they want. Because if you don't want to look at it like you're looking at some tiny screen and want it to be in your face like you're in the game, then you might need to increase the depth to go with that. So that guy like loves to limit options on that. But now I'm ranting to like no one, so I should move on to the next question. You mentioned before being something of a video game soundtrack fan. Have you ever played a game solely because you like the soundtrack? Also, are there any soundtracks that you absolutely love to games you know you'll never play? Yeah, I need to pull up my list. So the first, whoa. Yeah, I still need to, come up with a custom theme so I'm not blasted with white at night. Uh, more things on the to-do list. Let's see. No, I would not play a game just because I like the soundtrack. Like, however, I will absolutely listen to a soundtrack to a game I would never play if I like the music. And I'm trying to pull up ones. Okay, well, here, I have here Neverwinter Nights. That's one I have no intention of playing. It's turn-based combat. I have the soundtrack to that. I have Xenogears. I'm probably not going to play that one, but that has some neat music to it. Let's see. Symphony of the Night I heard before I played the game, and I was like, wow. How it made me actually imagine like what kind of game has music like this. Like it just almost seemed like something out of there. I'm trying to see more soundtracks I have to games I haven't played. I have the Praetorians. That's one I probably won't get to, but it has nice music. Let's see. This one I might play through. I don't know. It's one I've like started and stopped a few times. Dominion Storm Over Gift 3. It has a couple neat tracks, but I haven't played through it. Forsaken I kind of gave up on. I only played like a couple levels, but soundtrack's pretty cool. Yeah, these are all old stuff. I need to catch up so badly on music. Yeah, once again, I've mentioned this before, but once again, I feel like a quest giver who keeps giving quest lines to players and they just go and get killed and I don't hear from them again. My quest for soundtracks is to come up with like an organization system that makes sense where, well, I guess that tells you nothing. Okay, real quick, the concept is, you know, I want to be able to come up with categories for music where if I click on that category, everything in it kind of goes together more or less. And that could be based off of like different themes maybe, or like the mood or something like that. And it factors in this stuff like the tone, the tempo, or maybe the instruments used. And it's like soundtracks are so wildly diverse that it's just hell for me trying to come up with a system. I made some progress in the past. I don't mind sharing people my notes on it. But if you have ideas like how you would sort that, like I don't have to agree with your system, but I'm just curious, like some music might be good for like if I was playing like a racing game. Others might be good if you were like calm. It's like calmer and slower. You're trying to focus on something. Others might just have like a theme that it just sort of fits, like a bar in space or something, where it's like a little weird and futuristic but kind of chill, or you can think of like, and what I want is like as few of these categories as possible, but as many as I need that are needed. So it's just that's what just keeps getting me stuck on it. And I have looked into like, I haven't seen any AI sorting options that aren't for something that like has to be online, like Spotify or something that you can just analyze your own collection. There is one, it was called like Mix Dej, D-E-J, I think, or something like that. And I tried it, but it had two problems where one was that it would generate a playlist based on like the sound that it would scan your collection, and then you would select a song, and then it would try to generate songs that were try to pick out from your collection songs that were similar to that. And what I found was they did sound pretty similar, except the tone was way off. So you have like something that's like kind of calm and like chill and has similar instruments, except one has like a real upbeat feel, like in Rama. That there's like lots of like nice upbeat mellow stuff. But then like the next song it picked, it was still calm and mellow, but it was like much darker. Like the tone was like so different. So it wasn't doing a good job maintaining that. It was doing a good job in the similar sound, but not the tone. And the other problem it had would be that apparently it would constantly, its memory wasn't very good, and it would stray from the original target. So like by the time you get to like the fourth or fifth song, it's basing that on the previous three songs. So it would, that would lead to it drifting and mutating into something else over time. Which, I mean, could be a feature people would want, but basically I just want, my end goal is to be able to just pick a category of music, either AI assisted or not, hit random play, and then the music's basically going to go together. It's just that coming up with the criteria for how to figure out what those categories should be, that's just been hell for me. But feel free to give suggestions, or how you guys listen to music, or how you figure out how, you know, have the right music for different contexts, that sort of thing. So, okay, so should move on. But yeah, I'm totally open to any. I don't care about the origin of the soundtrack if it's good music. You know, it could be a game I'll never play, no problem. If I think the music's great. Oh yeah, that was another one I have. It's a MIDI one that, what am I converting? It was like Warhammer Shadow of the Horned Rat or something like that. It's actually pretty good MIDI music. Like, I was surprised. But yeah, and that's one. Anything turn-based, there's a very high chance I'm never going to play it. So, do you like to watch documentaries about developers or games for research or learning purposes? If so, do you have a favorite? They're saying Obsidian is releasing a multiple-part documentary for the 20th anniversary. No, I probably should for some of the games, but it's kind of more, it's a little more fun for me going in blind unless something's really bothering me or I need to decide if, like, I better look this up to see if this is correct, or like a intuition I'm having. Yeah, yes, people are mentioning no clip and no clip archive for the chat. Somebody's also mentioning all your history or belong to us. If that didn't get deleted, and by dumb luck, I was actually sharing like the same office space with the person who made that when I was working briefly at Machinima. He was like in the same room. Like, so he's like in the next desk over and would record his stuff. Yeah, I remember, I think I got him to change a line at one point just because I overheard something. I was like, I don't think that's right. I think his, I mean, I don't know, maybe my memory's up, but I think he was like, he was trying to say like Resident Evil was the first survival horror game. I'm thinking like, dude, that's so not correct. I mean, I don't know what the first one is, but there's not much Resident Evil did that Alone in the Dark didn't do first or before it, except the Resident Evil did it better, is generally. But it might have been the first to use that term, maybe? Like, I don't know. It was kind of vague, but I remember the way he worded it. I was thinking, that is not right, but not implying I know more than he does on video games, because he did way more research than I do. There are much better people to follow if you're looking for like actual game history, but that uses that goes back to what I said earlier, whereas like I find I lose some of the magic if I'm just peering behind the curtain too much. So I'd rather just. Oh yeah, that was the other thought I had on it. It's one thing, I might do that if there were far less games out there. But from my perspective, it's almost like limitless horizons now, because you've seen my games list. Like, I want to go through as many of those as I can. So it's like, well, rather than dwell on this game, even if it's great, unless there's something I really want from it, I mean, really want to know more about, it's like, I'd rather just move on to the next game, because who knows what's going to be in that one. So, I mean, one of the big things that's really dragging me back to games I have already played, I mean, besides Game Dungeon when I think of it, but I can do Game Dungeon for ones I haven't, is Yeah, VR, being able to replay those games except in real 3D, because that's just a total second life to the games. So let's see. Saying Resident Evil invented the term survival horror. I'm still skeptical about that, but maybe it's accurate. It just seems. Maybe somebody could find it. If somebody wanted to like disprove that, they could probably like dig through like the write-ups on like a million Atari Commodore games or something, or like older PC ones. I bet you could. I bet you could find something that sounds pretty similar. But oh yeah, the saying. Let's see. How they're talking about like life is strange. How would you exploit the how would you exploit the rewind to its fullest potential in real life? Assuming you can go back a minute. And well, I guess there's probably better answers, but like the two things that came to mind were you could become wealthy and set for life like that, especially with something like gambling. Go to a casino, go to like a high stakes casino. Yeah, you can win enough money that you're set for life. Or maybe if you were like a really aggressive trader with stock trading, you could do the same too. Because a minute that's enough to. If there was like a stock, you have to be way more attentive. If there was a stock that took like a plunge that day, and in such a really small time span, might be able to do that. But casino would be a lot easier. Just do something like roulette or whatever has like really bad odds. And the other thought I had was extreme sports, where you could handle some screw ups. Like I could do like gearless rock climbing. Oops, slip, falling to my death. Okay, rewind. Like or yeah, you extreme sports where you have some yeah, like I could do like downhill like dirt biking on like really like harrowing trails, that sort of thing. Something where you have a few seconds, but oh yeah, base diving with what's that called? Damn it, what am I thinking of? The thing where, how am I forgetting the name of this? This is the thing where you're basically dressed like a flying squirrel and wingsuit. Yeah, wingsuit gliding. That would be that would be fun. But yeah, you need something where you have a few seconds where between when you screw up and when you realize that you're gonna be dead, that you have time to trigger the rewinding 1 minute. Yeah, wingsuit stuff, you that actually maybe not for wingsuit, because I've seen videos where they're cutting it like just so close to like hitting like a rock edge, and they're like just inches away from it as they just go flying by it. Because if you got that wrong, you wouldn't even have time to rewind. It'd just be like bam, dead. So what wingsuits. But like I said, if like you were going on like a cliff face trail doing downhill biking, once you go over the cliff, okay, I'm gonna die. Better rewind. But yeah, I think extremes. So yeah, make enough money to be set for life, and then yeah, extreme sports. Those are the two that came to mind. Maybe the chat has some other ideas for if you could rewind 1 minute. What would you? Yeah, how could you use that? I mean, I guess you could use it for tamer things like a debate or something like that. But I don't know. Okay, so let's see. Okay, someone's saying an algorithm trading 1 minute is an eternity. Okay, yeah. Casino would still be a lot easier. Would take less skills involved. Just. All right. More questions. What's the most trouble you've ever been in with your parents? Probably being arrested. I don't think I'm going to go into more details on that. But that's the one I felt I was in the most trouble. Russ, you're a video game music appreciator, but how important is it for you? If a game checked all your boxes but had no music whatsoever, how would you rate it? Well, yeah, it could still be great. It just, I would consider that a bring your own soundtrack kind of game. You know, some games are like that. Even if they have a soundtrack, they'll have like 2 or 3 songs and that's it. You know, and then it's like, okay, you're getting sick of hearing those same few songs. The what? I was thinking for a lot of games, it wouldn't be such a big deal. I think the ones where it really would matter, where it, maybe like narrative ones, where unless you're trying to create like kind of like a gritty realism vibe, you probably should have some music backing things, you know, narratively to and kind of guide the mood of where you're going with the story, that sort of thing. And for sure, the right music can enhance environments a whole lot. But if, like, say the game is just really good gameplay, you don't have to have a soundtrack. I mean, a good soundtrack always helps, in my opinion. But, you know, that's not going to, like, make or break the game for me. Yeah, somebody's saying having no music is better than a game with terrible music. Yeah, it is. And in fact, even sometimes music that's okay or good, if it's not long enough for the area that you're in, and it's just on a constant loop, that can be problematic also. Like I remember, I think I mentioned this before. I remember thinking that was actually quite well thought out for World of Warcraft. They may not have been the first to do this, where that's an MMO, so you're going to be spending a lot of time in there. And what they would do is they would have music like for like a new zone or events, and then they might have like silence for a few minutes, and then like music would for that area would come in and play for a while, and then it'd go back to silence. So it's like it would just kind of come and go. And I was thinking that's going to wear out its welcome a lot slower than if it was just going constantly in a loop. And I thought, yeah, that's kind of wise for like a game that you know the player is going to be spending a lot of time in. So it's it's not make or break, but again, it depends on the game. It can make an enormous difference, but it just all depends. Let's see. Oh, geez, that's okay. I didn't even see this one. What would you consider the best looking map from a multiplayer game? Okay, I guess this is one of those I could change my answer on later, and feel free to list stuff in the chat too if you have some candidates. I haven't even played this game, but let's see. I saw this and it kind of stunned me when I saw it. I was like, wow, Olympus from Apex Legends. Here, let me get a screenshot here. I saw that. I was like, wow. It has more details than this too. But yeah, feel free to suggest more in the chat. Let's see. Maybe can I screen share or? Yeah, I don't want to risk screwing up the screen. Yeah, risk screwing up the stream, but. Okay, the chat changed. Yeah, there's lots of details once you get closer to it. Again, I haven't even played Apex Legends, but I saw that. I was like, wow, that looks awesome. So it's kind of for those, if you're listening to this, it looks like this sort of utopian area with like kind of a combination between greenery and technology, and it's all in the clouds. It's some floating city. It looked awesome. So yeah, I mean, Destiny 2 had some pretty amazing looking maps. Let's see. I'm not seeing any suggestions from the chat. I guess there's not as many viewers, but I could easily believe there's even better looking ones out there. Ross, what's the one time where you were the most intoxicated in something? I don't only mean alcohol, but like in terms of media consumption, obsession, games, movies, etc. I don't know. I guess. Well, there's a few games that have been pretty addictive for like short bursts for like a couple days. Like Unreal Tournament 2004 has done that to me. Path of Exile did that to me for part of it. Let's see. Actually, it was kind of Space Rangers did, and that one sort of took me off guard because that wasn't like my favorite game or anything, but I found myself just dumping a lot of hours into it. Well, yeah, Puzzle Agent. That was one I just went on a spree. Somebody's saying Stardew Valley ruined their sleep schedule. I bet there's a mod that you could have it be real time and have it match like whatever your current time is. Let's see. But yeah, actually, I didn't get like really drunk, but I actually got like a little bit drunk once as an experiment because I wanted to see what it was like. I bought some rum and just tried it until I felt like it's pretty buzzed to see what the effect was like. And I remember thinking that like, it was very difficult for me to retain thoughts. I remember thinking if I had a good idea like this, then it almost wouldn't matter because I wouldn't be able to remember it. And I remember it making me feel kind of dumber, but I also remember not caring that I felt that way. So, let's see, what was, yeah, for actual substance addiction, I mean, you can laugh, but it would probably be sugar for me because there have been times where I've absolutely matched like every definition of an addict except it would be for like cookies or cupcakes or something, you know, so. Currently off them, have been for a while, and basically my life's better in every way except that I still want sweets, so. Oh well. Let's see. Do you think recycling as it's currently practiced is a scam, or is there some good that comes out of it? How does it compare to Poland versus USA? I have no idea how it compares to Poland versus USA. I have heard that a lot of it is a scam, and it's not. And I think the term is greenwashing. It's where you pretend to be doing something that's good for the environment, and in some concepts it is, but when you look at the total picture, it's not at all. And I imagine my understanding, I don't know a lot about it, but my understanding is a lot of recycling falls into that category. So it's, and actually just talking about recycling, it's an amendment to like the original phrasing. I think like the original one is like, yeah, reduce, reuse, recycle. With recycle being like the last one you should do. So first you should just reduce the amount of stuff you're consuming or using. Second is to reuse what you can, and like the last resort, recycle. There was I think on Penn and Teller on the show, I think they did an analysis of it, and they found that metal still paid off. So in other words, for the amount of resources and energy used for it, it's still better to recycle metal. But that, for the others, it wasn't really. When you like consider like the chemicals and energy needed going into it. And if you're wondering like how does that work? Well, it's like, say if you wanted to like recycle plastic or like glass or something like that, and you like had to melt it down or use some chemical agents to break it down. Well, if you look at like the energy you're using to make those chemicals or to melt it, and if it could come out that ends up using more energy or effectively amounts to more pollution than if you were to just make it new, like let's say for glass or something like that. well, then it just kind of wasted energy. So, but there's not a good answer to it really, because on some things we do have finite resources and going we're not going through them wisely. So, I mean, the only answer that kind of makes sense to me is to just kind of like drastically cut back to kind of make our supplies last, you know? So, but I mean, it's a very subjective thing where those numbers would lie, you know? Let's see. What's the absolute worst thing you've ever tasted? Like it was so bad you wanted to puke. Well, I mean, I'm an anomaly here in that I really hate anything with vinegar. Like that just makes me just kind of hate the dish. And yeah, again, I think I mentioned before, I used to think when I was little, I thought I was like a picky eater. I was thinking, geez, like I really dislike so much stuff. No, it turns out I wasn't. I'm almost like a goat for what I'll eat. It's just that I hate vinegar. And so many sauces have vinegar. So once I discovered that, it's like I liked all kinds of foods. So, but, and that reminds me, my wife, I feel like she gained true perspective of how I feel about it when we ordered food from this one kind of local place, and she tried this sauce that they had, and she said it was like a crime, like what they did. And it was just it made her want to throw up. It's just like, how could you ruin something like this? It's like, you know, and ever since she had that, it's like she's totally understood how I feel about vinegar, because she had the experience tasting this sauce that was just utterly horrible, apparently. So, but yeah, most people like sauces with vinegar in it, so I'm the odd one out in that. On the concept of exploring worlds of virtual reality, have you tried VR chat? Yeah, I tried a little bit of it. I kind of walked through a few maps, but it's, I mean, it's sort of like you had to kind of know what you were looking for, or else at the time I didn't know like the way to filter the options to just that sort of thing. So I only saw a handful of them. That sort of gives me mixed feelings, because I think VR chat's online only. So if it ever shuts down, then I think all these maps go with it. I'm still dying for something like the Dream software, where I can just load up a game, just kind of feed it into the software, and it's going to spit out something that's pretty close to that map, like and then have it on Unreal or Unity or something like that. Have it stitched together if it's from footage or the 3D buffer, that sort of thing. Look, I'm keeping my fingers crossed on the Dream software. I think it's, at the rate AI is going, it'll probably happen, but who knows? That's why I made the video, to kind of hopefully nudge it a little bit, so that maybe somebody out somewhere sees that and eventually just you know, make something like that as a pet project, and then it's like that unlocks so many doors for me that, you know, have like the endless VR experience. Though I am happy with how many VR mods for games are coming out. Like, I heard recently they modded the original Far Cry to be like fully VR compatible. So it's like, yeah, keep it up. Like, the more games in VR that are adapted to VR, the better, you know. Yeah, especially if the game supports kind of a tourism mode, or, you know, you can hit like a no targets option, that's, or cheat, that sort of thing. So I was asking if I've ever touched an Armored Core game, and would be interested in covering those older games. I haven't played it. I mean, thematically it looks interesting. I think the older ones are console only, so that can kind of, nothing slows me down towards trying out a game faster than that. So, because I'll eventually get around to it, but probably through an emulator like a decade or two later. So, The and yes, somebody's asking, does that mean I don't like ketchup? Yeah, I don't. It's like the aftertaste is just. I hate vinegar. I just hate vinegar. So yeah, vinegar to me is like garlic to vampires. You know, it's. I just don't like it. How do you feel about the Writers Guild of America strike? Do you think this will lead to a push for large language models and writers and writer rooms being used more? I have no idea for that. However, like I have like three kind of conflicting thoughts on it, like all at once, or maybe four. I don't know. So I'll just list my thoughts on it, and I'm first. I'm probably going to be in favor of almost any strike because usually if workers are striking, that means our conditions are so bad that it's worth them like walking out the job and risking their livelihood for it. So like I can almost assume like any strike was any strike is warranted and just like probably 99 times or out of 100 or maybe just 100 you should probably side with the workers on it. In fact, I saw a video a little while ago where they're talking about like the UPS strike and they were pointing out the news coverage on it, and they were showing like the news anchor butting in and saying like, well the starting pay for these specific positions is $93,000, isn't it? And they were pointing, and so the idea was they were trying to point out that like, oh, this is a real high wage, like to try to create sympathy for the viewer that, oh, these are just greedy people who want more. And they're pointing out that part of the big reason they're striking is because that's just one position out of like out of all the workers. And that a whole lot of them are like part-time workers or people who like preload the packages, who are getting part-time and they're struggling to make ends meet. But of course, the news anchor goes straight to trying to, you know, paint it as something that like, oh, these greedy strikers, you know. Look, I mean, there's probably a few examples where people striking that they were going too far. But like, again, I would bet it's like 99 times out of 100, no, they're totally justified. And it's the management just squeezing every last drop of blood out of the workers. Okay, so that's my first thought. My second thought is that, like, you know, the Writers Guild, they had like a strike a few years back, and it's like they get a lot more publicity than a lot of other strikes. And it's like, again, I'm totally not against them striking, but I feel like this isn't really an answer in the long term. You need something even more radical because, I mean, okay, they're striking, but, you know, what about fast food workers? What about truckers? You know, what about like retail workers? You know, what are some other jobs that the workers are treated poorly at? I mean, there's so many positions that like they deserve a way, but like just people work at any job really. I kind of feel like that. So I was saying by a few years back, do you mean 2009? Yeah, maybe. I mean, but that's a lot more strikes than most other industries have gotten, you know, so on the other hand, this feels like a non-answer, like it doesn't go far enough for the problem. And we're kind of like overrepresented here that we need something even bigger, you know? The perfect example. What about railway workers, where Congress stepped in to stop them from striking, is to make it basically illegal for them? I mean, so that seems like, and then now it seems like, wow, maybe we should kind of like swing back around to that, you know, or so that's what I mean. Where this doesn't. If it's too essential, if it's too important to the economy, it's like the government will stop it. And not give the strikers what they want. And man, so that gets into more the dystopian era things. And then I guess my final thought, I don't know how much of this is the actual writer's fault and how much of it is just like pure Hollywood politics with determining who gets what. But there are so many garbage scripts for movies and shows that like, it's not even like a lack of originality sometimes, because I'm fine with like a show or a movie that follows some beats I come to expect, but it's done really well, you know? But it's just like, I'm seeing a lot of repeated things on shows that like, this scene is worthless. Like this writing is terrible. And I'm thinking, now I don't know, it could be that there's like that there's a few crappy writers who are better at playing Hollywood politics. So that ensures that they're always the ones in charge in all these shows. And there's like 100 much better writers like chomping at the bit to have a chance to do something, to be in their position to write a much better script. But I've seen so much garbage writing that I almost feel like the studio, this is like the one area I'm a little sympathetic to the studios. It's like, hey, maybe you should hand us some scripts that are like really good if we're gonna be paying you like better conditions or something. However, for all I know, the studios are the problems themselves, and it could be like the producer is like choking out what the writer wants to do, and they're insisting you have all this, and the writer's like, all right, whatever. So I don't know. I mean, like the ratio of like good scripts I've seen, like I'm thinking, wow, that was really well written. I don't know if it's 100-1, but it's got to be like at least 20-1 for me. I mean, maybe my standards are too. I would say my standards are too high, but I can see a real difference in movies from like the 80s or maybe early 90s, even ones I haven't seen before. So I don't have the nostalgia blinding me. You know, these are movies that, not all of them. I mean, there's still would be like bad ones, but like it's I don't know. I feel like there's like a soap operification of many shows, and there's like lame jokes infesting. Oh yeah, that was, what was it? I saw the trailer for, they're making a show out of Twisted Metal, and I watched that, and I was thinking, okay, well the premise sounds good. Like I like the plot's interesting, but it's like we have lame joke after lame joke, and I'm thinking like this is bad. And it's usually you have like your best jokes in the trailer, you know, to kind of really bring people in. And I was thinking, you know, with like a few tweaks, I can make these scenes funny. So it's not like they had one scene where like the guy is saying like, oh, it's rude to stick a gun in your face, and then she sticks the gun in his mouth, and he handled that not too nonchalantly. I would have said, I was like, okay, see, when you're handling that nonchalantly, you're almost like minorly breaking the fourth wall a little bit in a way that kind of weakens the humor to me. See, what I would have had in that scene where, you know, stick the gun in his face, you know, I would first have him play it like nervous, but remain calm. It's like, okay, maybe you don't stick the gun. And then I would have had her stick the gun in his mouth and just have him go, oh, like, and kind of panic while he's, and see, that would have made it funny. But the way they did it, it was just bad. I mean, see, somebody's saying no, too many gags. No, it's not the quantity, it's the quality. If they had plenty of gags, but they were funny, I mean, then it would. Somebody's saying, will you watch any of the Twisted Metal series? Not based on the trailer. I mean, maybe if a bunch of people say it's good and like the trailer wasn't representative of it, then maybe, but yeah, no, gags can be fine. I mean, I've seen really funny movies that have like a lot of gags, but I mean, they have to be funny and not like not see. First off, don't like. Well, what the Twisted Metal trailer was doing that I didn't like what was again, it was too nonchalant, and the character the main character was treating it too casually for the mood in almost like a hammed up way, and it just really undercut things. Where he was, he's in the middle of this chase and freaking out, and then it's just like, oh, they have this store at this mall, and it's like, it just didn't. Whereas I'm thinking of the movie The Blues Brothers, where they just drive straight through a mall building, and they're saying like, oh, look at this store has everything. But they're remaining like dead calm the entire time, and I don't know. Maybe it's just the direction or the writing that just makes the difference. Where the Blues Brothers, the way they did it was hilarious. Whereas maybe it's because the character was like breaking their own character, I guess. Whereas in Blues Brothers, they weren't. They're just like 100% chill the whole time. And just releasing this deadpan. And it's funny because of all the chaos and everything that's happening around them. Whereas this guy was much more expressive, and it just, I don't know. I can almost do a breakdown. Maybe I'll be inspired to do that. Just do a breakdown of like why I hate this trailer. Partially hate this trailer. Somebody's saying comedy is fundamentally about subverting expectations. And when what happens is expected, it ceases to be funny. It was partly that, and it was partly, if I don't, you're waking me up from the illusion when the character, when the character is just not acting their part, I guess. Although that's not, there's probably some other aspect to it also, because I'm thinking like Mel Brooks does that all the time. I was thinking in Robin Hood Men in Tights, where he has to like stop and he goes and like pumps up, he does air pumps on his sneakers. See, that works because it's ludicrous and it's so over the top that it's funny, Whereas this one, they're just trying to like slip it in, but they're not committing, They're not going for full goofy, but then they're also breaking character. And then the joke itself is like a little lame, or the delivery. It just, I don't know. Okay, someone is saying, don't, Ross, that breakdown stuff is a step into YouTube video essay slum. Okay, I don't have to. I got eyes on the prize of the movie. You're right. So I'll make a movie with better writing. How about that? Those are my thoughts on the Writers Guild strike. I am sympathetic to strikes. I think this is not the answer, and there may be overrepresented compared to many industries that probably need like better conditions much more badly, but people don't notice them because it doesn't affect entertainment directly, or the media won't cover those. And let's get better writing regardless. And again, if writers are well aware of this, and it is all Hollywood politics, and it's just the same few crappy writers are just dominating, then hey, maybe you should make that part of your demands. To have like more, cycle in more writers, Okay. Let's see. In an old video chat, you said the Game Dungeon on The Crew was your most ambitious episode of Game Dungeon, and that you never make a more ambitious Game Dungeon. Have you stayed true to those words, or have you gone more ambitious since then? I don't even remember saying that, though I can believe I did say that. And no, I think they got a little more ambitious with Phantasmagoria 2 took a lot, especially for the time crunch. That's sort of my goal. And here's what's actually going on. What's going on is when I've been burned out, like trying to make a deadline, it's like my brain, it's like I just want to like retire to like a hermit out in the middle of the woods and just chill out and like kind of relax and do fun stuff, and just like I push myself way too hard on some of the videos in the past. Whereas if it's been a few weeks since I did something like that, then it starts recharging in me, or I think, no, I could do something like this again. So what was probably happening was I had just finished it, or finished it recently. The sleep deprivation or stress I put on myself trying to make a deadline kind of put me in a much worse mental space at the time, where I was kind of thinking that like, no, I can't do this. So, but it does fade. So and I do want to keep doing videos. However, I really should make things less ambitious just so I can carve out more time for the movie. And I think I am going in that direction, actually. In fact, I hope to take another stab at getting editing help for not all the game dungeons, but some of them. Because I was thinking, like, for Kyrandia, that was one somebody else probably could have edited most of that. Like I was thinking, a lot of those shots, they weren't something that took a lot of precision timing. Or maybe I should take the approach that like another editor handles like, 80, 90% of them. But then for some shots, I really need to get the timing right. That, assuming I don't like their timing, then I step in and do those. So, like I remember, like for Mage Knight Apocalypse, I did the timing on the Will It Blend segment because I wanted that to just be exactly the way it was. I mean, I was doing all the editing, but for the Seinfeld segment of Martian Gothic, I mean, that's one I wouldn't have wanted someone else to do the editing on, or that's one I would have been very critical of if someone else did the editing on that. So we'll see, Yeah, so CIA says, drink some wine and give yourself the illusion of not being burned out. That reminds me of a good comic by The Oatmeal. Let's see. How to be a writer. I'll post this in the link on YouTube later too. Yeah, okay, here's the link now if you want to look at it right now. It's a good comic there. Oh wait, did it not post? I swear to God, I pressed enter. Okay, I'm pressing enter and it's not posting. Interesting. Wow. So okay, so maybe that's why the chat was slower earlier. Wow. Okay. Is it not letting me post URLs? Is that it? Here, let me get rid of the HTTP. No? Here, test. Yeah, okay, so I can't post in my own chat. That's interesting. Yeah, no, it says slow mode. No, the thing is, I'm here. I'll show you on the screen. Okay, move it up. Okay, see, here. Yeah, I'm typing out test. I'm pressing enter. Nothing. I just pressed enter. Pressing it again. Nothing. So, my apologies if this is happening to you too in the chat. Write me an email if that did happen. So, I guess you were not among the. You were not among the. Okay, someone's saying refresh. Okay, hopefully that. I'm afraid to refresh, that'll screw up the chat, but. Well, it's just look up The Oatmeal, How to Be a Writer. That's what I was going to paste. But. Yeah, so. Okay, yeah, I got locked out of my own Twitch chat, but I can keep talking, so. Yeah, if that's been happening to you, let me know. I'll see if there's some sort of setting I need to change. It's not a big deal if I'm being locked out, but if like, 100 random people are, that's not good. So, okay. I've been going close to 2 hours, so I should probably start getting pickier with the questions. So let me see. Oh, okay. Do you have any thoughts or opinions on the current state of the UAP conversation. I think they mean like the UFO one. I haven't been following it. The way I see it, if they come out with some hard evidence, I'll probably hear about that. And my favorite take on this was an Onion headline I saw, which said, House panel didn't expect UFO whistleblower to just dump alien on table like that. And they have this picture of an alien body just like on a table in front of Congress. Because I'm imagining like the sort of type of people they're always interviewing in the X-Files just coming into Congress and just whump, like dumping an alien body on the table. So, yeah, it's so some news like that, I feel like it is newsworthy, but I don't really have the time or incentive to follow the blow by blow. And I figure if something comes from it, then I'll hear, you know, like what the actual conclusion was. It'd save myself a lot of time, you know. Yeah, here, let me leave notes for. Believe it or not, I'm enhancing the colors a bit for the video, so it's not actually like floodlight status on my face, despite what you see. Okay, so the oatmeal comic and UFO onion. There we go. Let's see. Somebody's asking how I feel about total conversion mods. I think they can be great, but they're kind of rare because they take a whole hell of a lot of work. They're asking my favorites. Well, for multiplayer, I like Fortress Forever and Zombie Panic Source. Yeah, for Half-Life 1, They Hunger basically spoiled Ravenholm for me because that came out before Half-Life 2. I played some of the Nerim mod for Oblivion. That was I think it had better forests than Oblivion, but the gameplay didn't really win me over that much. But there's a lot of good total conversions there. Yeah, I think they made one for Skyrim. I haven't checked that one out. I mean, the same group that did it. Let's see. Oh yeah, so you find yourself stirring from a deep sleep and notice you're in the hospital. A doctor comes in with a grave expression. I'm sorry, you've been in a terrible accident. You're going to be okay, but unfortunately we couldn't save your leg. Now we do happen to have Gordon Ramsay here on staff by a twist of fate. And he's offering to cook up your leg as a 5-star meal. Would you choose to try some of your own amputated leg? No, it's not something I've ever really been interested in. I mean, some things I'm curious about, some things I'm not really. And I mean, I don't know if it's like mostly innate for most people or if it's just cultural conditioning, but I mean, I have the usual aversion to cannibalism or eating human flesh. I mean, I would if it was a survival situation, but anything less, I'd rather not do that. However, I would say if Gordon Ramsay's been hired out to cook up human flesh, then that makes me think there's probably some lavish, degenerate, aristocratic types behind this, in which case I could hopefully like get some compensation for them eating my leg. I mean, it's already done. So, I mean, then they probably, money's probably not much of an object to them. I was thinking about it. I would like to be able to ask for 6 figures, but if they're the types of people that are doing this and can afford Gordon Ramsay to cook it, then they can probably get others too. So it might be a more competitive field than I realized. But I could probably get like 5 figures for my leg from like just some wealthy people want to eat it. So it's like, okay, you freaks can eat it, enjoy, you know. I mean, I wouldn't do it while it's attached, but you know, if what's done is done, might as well get a compensation. So. Somebody's saying it's raw. No, according to this, they would cook it, but Yeah, if you're into this sort of thing, I recommend the movie Ravenous with Guy Pearce. It's a good movie just in general. So I mean, it's horror, but it's well done. It has a unique soundtrack to it too. Like it's you have not heard a lot of movies with this kind of soundtrack. So let's see. Oh, I didn't even see this question. This is another one of those like, what's my process kind of questions here, where I'd have to. You guys may not realize how much of this stuff isn't conscious for me, like so, it's conscious for a brief period of time, and then I decide, okay, yeah, this makes sense, it works, then I do it, and then it just fades off into autopilot. So, okay, I'm skipping some more questions. Have you watched any of the Resident Evil movies, either live action or CGI? I think I've seen all of the live action ones. I'd say the first one's the only one worth watching, in my opinion. The second one was pretty bad, and all the ones after that are just kind of like, I mean, they're not horrendous, but they're better things to do with your time. I mean, like that was my opinion. They're not, it didn't do much for it. The first one has a lot of style to it. Has a great soundtrack. I think Marilyn Manson did some of the soundtrack to it, but it's not best movie ever, but it's definitely, I'd say it's easily in like the top 10 best video game movies, maybe top 5. It actually has a plot twist in it also. That kind of a bonus. I have seen one of the CGI movies because my wife has become obsessed with Leon Kennedy and wants me to watch those with her. It was pretty cheesy. My brain was kind of fried when I watched it, and that was probably the right state to be in. I think it was Damnation was the one I saw. It was something in Europe. I don't know. I think it's like, I think it's something that's like for hardcore fans only. It didn't do much for me, but she wants to watch more of them, so I might be conscripted on that. The CGI ones. Yeah, it's definitely something that could benefit from something like riff tracks. Yeah, in fact, it would be kind of ripe for riff tracks, I think, the CGI one. Oh, okay. I said I've seen all the live ones. I forgot. I think they made a newer one for Netflix. I haven't seen that one. So I've seen the ones with I forget her name now. Oh yeah, Mila Jovanovic. I forget her last name. I've seen those. So. But yeah, I'd say watch the first one, and just lower your expectations a lot if you're gonna watch the rest of them. What's your take on VTubers? I have no take on them. I didn't even know what they were until like, I want to say maybe this year, and they're just people who like stream on Twitch or whatever, and then just they have like avatars instead of themselves. Whatever. This is like a Venn diagram where like I have like no overlap with that kind of side of the internet, whereas probably people who watch whereas there's probably a chunk of people who watch my videos that also watch VTubers. So like I'm probably completely disconnected from them because they're into different things than I am. So, that's what I said. I'm a fan of the long tail that people can kind of pursue their own kind of more niche interests. So. Have you ever tried Dramamine to avoid motion sickness while using VR headset? No. Well, I did try the ginger pills, and it might have helped a little bit. I might do that again in the future, but I didn't want to go as far as Dramamine because I don't want to have to do that every time I fire up VR, you know, because then, I mean, I mean, who knows? I probably shouldn't even be taking like a lot of Dramamine if I'm going to do it every time I'm doing VR. But I mean, I'm sure it would do the trick. But yeah, I mean, I used to take that as a kid for like long road trips because it would just get miserable without it. Especially if my dad had to drive on like some winding road. It's like, oh man. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's torture for something that's not torture, or maybe like some medical condition. Like car sickness is like motion sickness is one of like the worst feelings you can have. It's just it feels so bad. So. Well, somebody's asking if I think people will be too quick to put away the Source Engine for Source Engine 2, without considering some important things like optimization, DRM, accessibility. I have no idea. I mean, I imagine a lot could be ported without too much drama, but maybe not. I haven't really looked into it. I had enough trauma from the Source Engine that I don't... Like, I would be incredibly surprised if Source 2 made like more sense than something like Unreal for me. So if I'm not going to be developing into it, I kind of sort of tune out a lot of what's going on there. Okay, let's see. I'm going to skip some more questions. Oh yeah, somebody's asking for more details about like work process on the movie. Since my plans keep imploding, my general approach, which is how I've accomplished many things, is just keep throwing time at it. Just like keep throwing time at, like, you know, just like the quantity eventually makes up for the obstacles. So, or the workflow or something. So I'm just trying to carve out enough time with the normal videos to make the time for that, and then I'm just gonna go at it hardcore. So, and again, once I solve all the big technical hurdles, that'll be that's gonna be like night and day for my attitude and how much is getting done on it. Because the best analogy I can make is how far can you walk or run like after you've unlocked a door? Like if the door is locked, you're not making progress. You're trying to figure out how the hell to get the door open. But once you get the door open, you can go so much. Because once I have the technical hurdles nailed down, it's gonna be like it's gonna be like a much longer episode of Civil Protection as far as the workflow goes. And my brain, I know how to do that. And it's a matter of just putting in the hours then. So, just don't throw so much time that you find yourself old and gray. Well, no, that's just it. If I don't throw enough time at it, I'm becoming old and gray and it's not done, you know? So, no, quite the opposite. Like, just don't lose sleep, I think is the better way to go about it. That's part of the reason there's been part of the damn side video I shouldn't have undertaken, but I have not been cutting my sleep the way I was, and that slowed down the videos somewhat. But sorry, I'll keep working on them, but it's just I can't do the trade-off unless it's like a life or death thing. Do you mind the 5-finger mouse to be repurposed from another mouse's electronics made of wood? No, not at all. What would it be kind of neat? I guess as a mouse. Okay, this one's been asked before, but I'll mention again. Are you concerned about the war spilling over into Poland? And if so, what do you plan on doing? Yes and no. I mean, I feel like if it spills over into Poland, it's very likely going to be World War III between two nuclear powers. And at that point, we're in mutually assured destruction territory, So Poland, so, you know, what? Kentucky isn't necessarily any safer than Poland is at that point. That's why I said like the entire northern hemisphere would be like at risk. I mean, I say that because, you know, from the radio, if we did enter into mutually assured destruction and nuclear exchange where like hundreds of nuclear weapons were going off, then what the fallout from that, my understanding of it is it would probably mostly stay in the northern hemisphere because the air currents, there's some resistance for it to crossing over to the southern hemisphere. So like so the northern half of Earth would be radioactive wasteland, and some of that, and the bottom half would probably be not as bad. So yeah, I think flirting with war for between nuclear powers is insane. And I don't know. I kind of wish that perspective was shared more, but it seems like that's a minority opinion. So I don't know. So, but I mean, I don't feel any more exposed here than I would at like any other place outside Ukraine in the northern hemisphere. But yeah, that is something I'm concerned about, that it escalates. Because I think the sides involved seem to want it contained to Ukraine, but war is not a nice and tidy thing, you know? It's could easily spill out by other circumstances. So yeah, no, I shouldn't think about this too much, because then I get to the state of mind where it's like, if I really think like, no, this is it, we're going to end ourselves, that doesn't put me in like a let's get work done mood. So it's better for you guys if I'm not thinking about that too much, because then there'll be more videos coming out. This is a good question. Chat, feel free to weigh in or email me if you see this later. What can you recommend as a good search engine nowadays? It seems more and more that Google and all others are providing with less and less results. Yeah, I've noticed the same. Like, I tried several others. Like, I found, it's weird because it feels like they've all gone downhill. Where, like, Google has definitely gone downhill, but then if I try others like Bing or DuckDuckGo, they seem poor too. However, there have been times when I've done searches on Google that I feel like this is ridiculous, I can't find the information on it. Bing is usually better in those rare scenarios. If you're looking up something controversial, Yandex tends to be better, but I wouldn't call it better overall. But if you feel like it's something where you're like, it's going to be hard to sift through noise on it, or you know, you're trying to like get both sides of something controversial, it tends to be a little bit better for that. Like, I don't know. Like, okay, somebody's saying ask Jeeves. Well, the fact that they relate, oh, your master cookie. The fact that you're saying that as a question, I'm not taking as an endorsement. I don't know. I mean, it's all gone downhill. In fact, I was hearing someone else saying that it might start affecting some of the AI language models, because a whole lot of them are trained off of internet results. So if the results are getting crappier and crappier, then that's going to make the AI effectively dumber, because it's not going to be getting the same kinds of answers. Yeah, I don't know. It's a great question, but I don't have a good answer for it. I mean, I feel like Google now is similar to what the other engines were back when Google was emerging. So it's like new boss, same as the old boss. They've become what they vanquished, essentially, where they just they're doing a lot more results for the highest bidder and just not even caring about the long tail stuff. so that you just get like the most mainstream sources that might not be relevant for what you're searching for. So yeah, some of this YouTube search is very bad. Yeah, it is. Like it's. Oh, I also saw. I, I don't know if this was a one-off, but I also saw YouTube lately recommend a video from a channel I told it do not recommend more from me from this channel. It was just one, but I was thinking, you know, so are they starting to undo that too? That, or maybe they're going to roll that out as a premium feature. You know, who knows what they're doing. Yeah, yeah. I wasn't even joking in that in Fahrenheit when I said like, oh yeah, this game takes place in, was it 2009 or something. So I said, oh, so like Google search is going to be as good as it's ever been. Like, yeah, like late 2000s, early 2010s. That was probably like the peak of like how good Google was for searching for things. So. Let's see. Skipping some more questions. Sorry. Yeah. This one we need more votes up for. I really need to think about it. They're saying if you would be someone who directs the making of a brand new game, what big features would it have? It really depends on the game. I mean, there's such a wide variety that. Yeah, it's. What are some of the better jobs you've had? Probably doing PC repair. Like both. It's probably not a coincidence. The best jobs I had both paid minimum wage, and they're both like doing computer repair at different places, because the atmosphere was a lot more relaxed. You know, I mean, there was still plenty of work. It's just that, like, people would tell jokes. They weren't like monitoring you to the second. Very casual stuff. In fact, that you know I had one boss who was. Yeah. I mean, he would like swear all the time and he would say things that would probably like bring up a lawsuit at like some at some work environments. But the thing is, like everybody at the job got it as far as like the humor. Like it was kind of like a subtle dry humor to it that he's not actually trying to like, you know, make you feel horrible. It's just he's sort of venting and so that everybody there kind of got it. You know, and there was also one where like I don't know what the deal was, but he was friends with this woman who was an accountant. I think I might have mentioned this before, and like I want to say like once a week on average, without fail, there would be this period where they would just get into this argument for like an hour. Over usually it was over like the accounting software, but it would spill over into like all sorts of other things. And I always took that as my cue to just like shut up. I'm not going to bother them. I'll just work on systems that maybe chill at something else if I get through all of them. But it was, yeah, that's the one where one of the managers, I say managers, there was like 12, 15 people at the company. It's not a huge company. Decided to close the store early so they could go to the Minotaur Caves in EverQuest. Like it was, yeah. So it was just a real relaxed environment. And the other one, yeah, there was one I worked for like a week at a university at the library where it was just like at an information desk or do some minor sorting. There wasn't a lot to do there. I mean, there's some few tasks. So I could just spend downtime on the computer surfing. And that was nice, except it ended after a week because I had to stop like immediately, because if I kept working, then it was going to push my income level to the point where I would lose my like student loan status or something. Yeah, I think I would lose my student loans, and I couldn't afford to do that. So it was a situation where I literally couldn't afford to work that job because I would have made, it was probably minimum wage also, that and that would have screwed up my student loans, in which case I wouldn't be able to afford it. So yeah, yeah, but I worked at that for like a week or something until let's see. But yeah, at the other one, it was also the computer repair. Yeah, well, that was the one where I talk about Metal Dave in the Go to Hell episode. He worked at that job where he would just sometimes be just, oh great, he's working this shift. We're listening to heavy metal. The end. You know, like, and there'd be like funny conversations there with the other workers, that sort of thing. Um, and then they would like I would sometimes we work. I would sometimes just be. It was kind of like a multi-purpose job where sometimes I would just be sort of like a stand-in for running like the print shop, which was next to the same spot as the IT stuff, but and then like half the time they would be like sending me around the building to like go fix the computer on site, that sort of thing. So that was kind of fun. I got to like move around, do different things, but yeah, those are some of the better. Yeah, so the the best jobs I have been some of the worst paying, though I have had some awful ones that have also been the worst paying. So yeah, I don't think I've ever had like a great job that like paid more than minimum wage. That might have really colored my outlook on like regular job. I mean, obviously making money from YouTube is way better, but that might have colored my outlook on a lot of work and jobs and careers. That just there's the old Dilbert comic I love where it's something here. I'll link to this one where there was like one panel that cracked me up. It was something like, it's just like, what's this? A new Lily Bottom recruit to join this company. Back in my day, you started at the bottom, and by golly, you stayed there. Like, and I was thinking, yeah, that's been kind of my experience at jobs I've had. You start at the bottom and you stay at the bottom. Like, or if you work for years and years, you get like a 10% increase in like 50% more work, or something like that. So he's asking, what was your most fulfilling, meaningful job besides YouTube? Like, I guess doing the computer repair. I mean, I was actually fixing systems or building them for people. Yeah, it was repair / building systems. So if they ordered a new system or a custom one, I would put it together. Or if they bring it in because it has problems, I would fix it, that sort of thing. But that also tied in with like a more relaxed atmosphere. I mean, I did have one that was not a relaxed atmosphere, and that like the workers, the bosses were had kind of a harsh tone, but I mean it was okay. It because the work itself wasn't that bad, so they would always shout at like yeah. That one got to me less than some of the other workers because I realized that the bosses were always angry, always upset, and always shouting no matter what was happening. So it's like, oh, okay, well, once I realized that they're always like this, well, then I could just sort of like not take this. I could just not take this as seriously as everything else and just say like, yeah, okay, I'm working on it. And then be like, oh, okay. And just have like a real like shifty non-trusting face looking towards me, Uh, but they were like that to everyone. They weren't like singling me out, and they were like that for all things, except when a customer came in the store, and then they would be like very, congenial and everything. And once they left, they'd go back to what they were like. So, but that wasn't even the worst because the work wasn't that different than like the more casual computer repair jobs. It just wasn't as fun. Okay. Oh yeah, somebody's saying there's been a in Sweden there's been an exponential increase in cases of tick-borne encephalitis, which can cause horrendous damage if you're infected. And it seems like that could be in my area also from ticks. Are you available to get the vaccine for this? Maybe I am. I wasn't aware of this. I am aware of ticks. What I usually, it's not nearly as bad here as it was in Virginia, but what I normally try to do is, like when it's like full bloom summer like this, try to walk on like more mainstream trails that are like wider and like, you know, try to avoid brushing up against leaves and bushes, that sort of thing. Or it also they tend to be out more when it's like really sunny and hot. If it's like cloudy and like rainy, there's not as many. So I've been exercising some caution, but I'll look into that to see if I should be getting that shot or not. Do some mechanics in games make you laugh? Yeah, I've unfortunately forgotten a lot of them, but when I did the live stream of, was it Death Trap Dungeon, they had a lot of like, you know, sort of what I would call like sucker punch situations that they can get so over the top it becomes funny. Or I remember watching some of Tom White when he was playing I Want to Be the Guy on like the hardest difficulty, and they do this stuff as like you're jumping towards the platform collapses so you die. Like they did a lot of this stuff where they're just going over the top with how antagonistic it is, and like it's such an obvious way it becomes funny. Well, actually, in Dark Souls, in the tutorial, when you go up this staircase and like this giant boulder comes down on you, I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah, stuff like that where they're just, oh man, there's another one I'm trying to remember. Like I remember aspects of it, but it's too hazy in my mind. Yeah, I don't know. I'm drawing a blank on others, but yeah, yeah. I think the ones that make it like really obvious that's you know what they're doing is they're just the game itself is messing with you. Uh, I'm trying to think. Well, I know it can be kind of funny when there's like an exploit that it can kind of look sort of ridiculous. Where like sometimes like rolling is faster than like running, so like the character is just rolling constantly like like to go just to like travel across an area. That can be kind of amusing, or something where you're doing some weird movement that looks funny if you do it repeatedly, but the game's basically incentivizing you to do that. Uh, yeah, no, I'm sure there's plenty of them. It's okay. I'm skipping some more. Let's see. So he's asking for trance. Oh yeah, I mentioned I was fine with for trance music recommendations. Yeah. Do you have any recommendations for tracks, albums, or even playlists of trance music like this that you enjoy? Oh my, my memory's hazy, but if I might be mispronouncing names, E.S. Vandal, the like anything with like northern exposure in the name, because there's like a dozen different albums like that, or maybe more. Those tend to be pretty good, like compilations. Geez, I'm drawing blank on a lot of names. I haven't listened to trance in a while. It's good though. Yeah, the check and I'm unfortunately music's one of those things. Like I'm doing too many things. Unfortunately, music is one of those where it's kind of been towards the back of the line as far as like things I want to get around to. Um, but yeah, if I ever figure out how to sort it, that's gonna help me tremendously with it because, I mean, yeah, sort it by the mood or the whatever the criteria that works. Because then I can do a little bit each day and think, okay, that goes in this category, this goes in this one, and then gradually build it back up again until I have like a music paradise. But until then, like what ends up happening is I'll think of something I want to listen to. I'll maybe listen to that, but then my brain just goes back to like wanting to have that system. I just keep getting hung up on that. So. Oh yeah, well somebody's talking about like doing. This isn't just GoldenEye. This is a lot of games where walking diagonally is faster because yeah, it's combining the strafe movement and the forward movement. The what? Yeah, well, bunny hopping from Quake and Source Engine games. That's something that looks kind of funny, watching people do it. Okay, skipping some more. So I was saying Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous devs added spyware that steals your data on a 19 gigabyte patch in Steam for easy money and removed it after strong fan backlash. This is on a famous single player game on Steam. What are your thoughts on it when Steam auto updated and all players got that spyware? I think I heard about that but forgot about it. Well, if that had happened, I haven't played Pathfinder. I'm not sure if that one's turn-based or not, or if it's like pseudo turn-based or. I mean, if that, like I said before, everything on my system is firewalled by default. I have to manually go and undo that. So if I had gotten that spyware, it wouldn't have dialed out. Well, it would have tried to dial out, but it wouldn't have made it on my system. But that shows why sometimes you really do want to have, keep the older version of it. Actually, I recently pirated a game I already own because I wanted to run a trainer. Like I didn't like the gameplay. Well, no, I thought the gameplay was good, but I was thinking the difficulty. I can see what they're doing with the difficulty, and it's just kind of busy work that's going to make the game take 3 times longer than it would otherwise, and it's not really drawing it out in a way I like. Because sometimes longer and repetitive is okay if I'm enjoying it. But all the trainers and cheat engine scripts out there, they didn't work on the new legitimate copy that I own. Well, the game is Die Young. I have a copy on Indie Gala, but that one's updated, and none of the trainers and none of the cheat engine scripts work on it. But they do work on an older copy, so if you got the pirated copy, then it works on that. So it's like, yeah, like one of the things I hate is like durability of items. Like you can have durability of a crowbar. I mean, give me a break. How many people are you gonna bash with a crowbar before it runs out? Like, millions? I mean, like it's like I really don't like durability in most games. That was one of the things I cheated on. So it's kind of, the more developers do stuff like that, it's kind of incentivizing piracy. I mean, because then you have a fixed copy that's not going to get screwed up. Now that said, stuff like this is probably much more the exception than the rule of putting in drastic changes people don't like. In fact, I would guess that like probably 95% of the time or more is just pretty close to a pure improvement on the game when they do release updates and patches. But the times it's not, it can really sting, for that game. So, what I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I guess I'm losing oxygen in the room, so I shut the window. But yeah, I'm all for backups and preventing the developers from screwing up. Oh yeah, that was the other thought. Right now, I'd say 95%, if I would just guess, of all updates for a game are probably going to be beneficial ones. However, the bad ones can be really bad. However, that's today. Who knows? Maybe it's them testing the waters. And let's say they do get away with spyware, and then another company decides, hey, you know what? They got away with spyware. Let's put on spyware. We can sell the data to another company and make some profit of that. And then more companies start doing that. So I don't take that for granted. I guess that things could change, but. Okay, I'm down to the last questions. I skipped some, but I try not to. I actually try not to have these things go on for like 3 hours or more. So I'm trying to get a little bit better at skipping them. But so the chat can ask live ones if you want. Do at Ross Broadcast while I'm looking at the remaining ones. Segways or level loading? For game transitions. I guess I don't. I mean, I guess segues are better. That's the sort of thing where I generally don't think of those as a big deal, but then Dungeon Siege surprised me. It really created a different feeling, not having level loads and just having it be all one continuous path. So I don't know. It made me like the game more. I have to admit, and I wouldn't have thought that. But you know, don't. If you're a developer, don't feel crushed if you have level loads. It's not a huge deal. Ever considered combining the monthly chats and the talks you do with people? I guess we could, but they go on long enough as it is. So. No, and so the last question is, have you played Cyberpunk 2077? Which I answered at the start. No, I haven't. It's one of the games I'm most looking forward to once they finish it. Because you could argue, well, they finished it. This is the expansion. Well, okay, but then they lied about what was going to be in it. And maybe with the expansion, they won't be liars. So might as well go for the version they're less likely to be lying. It's like... it's not like it's not like I'm gonna run out of games to play, but between now and then, that was another AAA, or maybe it's considered AAA. I don't know. I've heard it's not great, but I am interested in trying it. Is Days Gone? That was another one I was interested in. But yeah, no, I'm totally looking forward to Cyberpunk. I mean. That's actually why I've tried to stay kind of in the dark about it, so I haven't spoiled like half the game for myself by looking at all the promotional stuff before I actually play it. Okay, have you seen the Skyrim mod with ChatGPT companions? Do you think this is the future of role-playing games, open worlds? Maybe. I mean, it takes a lot of processing power to pull that off, and it might not scale one-to-one with players. So I think that's the main drawback. But mixed feelings, because that'll very likely make the game, give the game an online-only requirement. And the thing is, they'll try to make... I swear they will sell that as this is the only way we can ever do this, and then shut down the game a few years later. So while them hosting it on their servers might indeed be the only way to run that smoothly, that still is not an excuse for destroying it later when they decide they don't want to run those servers. So it's like, because they could release the models or something like that. And just, let the fans sort it out, which they very likely would. So I see that. I see that framing all the time in like game journalism, where they'll just like, well, or representatives from the company, it's like, well, we have to do it this way. So, but no, I mean, that could add a lot of immersion for people playing RPGs, especially. Reading about Andrew Jackson was reminded of Freeman when I read that after a southern state threatened secession, he sent warships to the state and threatened to hang anyone who spoke of wanting to secede. What kind of president do you think Freeman would be? A neurotic one. I don't know. I mean, I think Freeman would probably. I think Freeman would be an assassinated president, is what he would be. Though he's pretty paranoid, so maybe not. Like, I think he would get stuff done and upset a lot of powerful people, and they would probably try to kill him. And although they would actually manipulate the messaging probably with media to spin everything against him, and he might not be able to swing that. No, he probably could. It's hard to say. It's hard because he could speak his mind, my version of Freeman, and he could directly attack all the cheap shots that were taken on him. But then if the news decides not to air that, then I don't know. They might be able to. I don't know. He would cause problems, and he would probably be assassinated. So. What is the best forest that you've seen in games? Just going by screenshots, the beta version of Kingdom Come Deliverance, it's still nice, but it doesn't look as good for the final version. Also, the Hunter Call of the Wild. Those are probably the best forest I've seen in games. Let's see. You mentioned the film Amelie a few times. Does the color grading in that fall under the ugly tinting category? Would you prefer to watch a regraded fan edit? Yeah, maybe. I forgot about that because it's been a while, but it's the sort of thing where that might have worked on some scenes, but I'd have to look at it again. It's been a long time since I've seen Amelie. What's the lowest bar for public transit that you've experienced in Europe, Poland versus USA? Well, I mean, I haven't seen anything too bad here, except just they really will pack the trams and train cars in some place where it's just, where I mean, it's probably not like Japan or Tokyo levels, where it's just incredibly packed from some videos I've seen, but it's up there. For public transit in USA, I mean, it really depends on where you are. It can get kind of you can get mugged more easily probably on public transit in certain parts of USA, especially at night. It's not public transit, but I was thinking like some of the worst examples of transit I've seen was these train tracks in Ohio. I'll try and find a video of it. Where these train tracks, I think in Ohio, where this train was going really slowly because the tracks themselves look like someone had just hit them with like a giant hammer, and they were all mangled. I almost couldn't believe the train was going on it. It was just, I was like, wow, this is still runnable. It looked beyond the point of what you could even run a vehicle on, or a train. So, let's see. Okay, a few more live questions. When the movie does come out, would you want to hold public viewings in a cinema? I don't think I could afford that. It might be nice, but missed most of the stream. Any news on us peasants making laws against dead games, anti-consumer practices? No, but I gotta follow up a few more things. I did make headway, but I need to do more. What you can do, I still think our best shot is at France. So figure out how to get French courts to look at the practice. And I think the best in that Valve versus France video I did, I think the best, that's still the path I'm pursuing. It's just taking me longer than I wanted it to. And most of that's my fault. In my defense, I did say in the Games as a Service video that like I'm not the best person to do this, like because I'm doing too many things and I'm not an expert in any of these areas. But I was hoping somebody else would kind of pick up the torch more on it. But hey, if it's just me, I'll still do it. So I feel like in many things in life, like I feel like I'm like the emergency backup system. You know, where no, I am not the preferred option, but it's like I am better than nothing. So, like many things I feel that way about. Would you be open to people sending you creative content in the Half-Life universe, or is your brain too saturated with Half-Life stuff? It's kind of saturated, I'm afraid. I mean, that's kind of the devil's bargain I made inadvertently with making Freeman's Mind and working in the Source engine for many years. So, would you rather have a double clone to help you with your work, or a pill, infinite supply that you can take to instantly get 8 hours of sleep? I think of the clone. I think the clone we could do more, because I mean the pill would be nice to like have really regulated sleep, but the clone and I could accomplish a lot more things together. So better potential. Have you played anything recently that felt fresh to you? Style, gameplay, etc. Jeez, what the hell have I played recently? I need to figure out an option in Launchbox where I can view just my hidden games. Maybe that's an option. I don't know. Because my hidden games are the ones I've played. And let's see, view. You'd think I would remember what I had been playing lately, but I usually play through it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just losing my mind. Yeah, nothing too unique. I mean, like I mentioned, Die Young. That one's kind of derivative of like DayZ type gameplay. It's like DayZ plus a bunch of parkour. In fact, I might have some of the most intensive parkour I've seen in a game. Though there might be more worse out there, but it's not kind with the parkour. Let's see. Yeah, I guess not that unique. I mean, I'm okay with playing a good game if it's just, even if it's not that unique. I mean, I played one that was called, well, I kind of gave up on it after a while, but what the hell was the name of that one? It was very derivative of ActRaiser, but they had their own kind of spin on it, but I just didn't quite get into it. Let's see, view, show hidden games. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned Xeodrifter. That's obviously very derivative of Super Metroid, although that had an element I can't remember if I've seen before. It might have been in Axiom Verge 2 also. I forget, or maybe this has been in another game, I just haven't seen it, where it actually had a surprise. It surprised me with one part of where you get this, where you see where it's a platformer, 2D platformer, and you see some stuff going on in the background with like other tunnels and platforms, and I thought that looked pretty cool. I think that's always a nice touch when games do that, to kind of make it, even though it's a 2D game, it gives the feeling that it's like more going on than what you can access. But then you get an ability later that it actually transports you to that background that you see, and then you start hopping around in there. And it's probably not the first game to do that, but it was the first one I knew of off the top of my head that I'd seen. And that was pretty cool. That ends up being a new way to kind of traverse the levels. Like you don't, and the thing is, the camera stays in the foreground. So you're now in the background, like jumping around. I thought that was a cool mechanic I wasn't expecting. I can't. I'm frustrated. I can't remember the name of the Accursed knockoff. I mean, I'll recognize it as soon as I hear it, but let's see. I had that one on GOG. Yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, let's see. What time do you usually wake up? It can vary a lot, but I'd say usually 7 to 10, somewhere around there. Wait, okay. Have you played anything? Yeah, okay. I have not played Rule of Rose. Are you listening to any new music? Not at the moment. I'm still kind of hung up on my sorting system. It's like a roadblock for me. You intended to do the Half-Life 2 episodes. Is this still your intention? I don't think anyone would blame you if it's not. Well, yeah, though, let me get through Half-Life 2 first, Yeah, the next Freeman's Mind is going to be a longer one. It's going to be similar length as the last one. And actually, I'm re-recording some footage for it, and this is something I should have. I feel so stupid I didn't do this on earlier episodes because I was exceeding the ragdoll count limit, and it became an overt problem. And then I realized, well, wait a minute, I want as many ragdolls as the engine can handle. So now I'm re-recording the demo with like full ragdoll. So there's gonna be a lot of bodies in the next one. So, you've seen this Accursed Farms iceberg? No, I haven't. Okay, let's see. It shows me drinking even though I don't drink. Let's see. Beans, games as a service at the top. Mold L as a service. I don't know what the L is. So yeah, there's Wine Ross. I'm not really familiar with that. Let me get the image link so I can put this in the notes. Ross hates Civ 11. Okay, so these are like memes within the subculture that I don't even know about. Well, no, why would I hate Civ 11? He makes great videos. I might, if anything, I might be like a little jealous, but no, I don't hate him at all. Okay, Galaxy Gulp, that one's fair. I can't tell from some of this text because they did like this red text that doesn't compress well, and then Galaxy Gulp was a something for the movie. No, movie's not going to be at all like Galaxy Gulp. Secret Discord server, maybe. I'm barely on. In fact, yeah, an announcement that's maybe helpful for you. Discord, I don't use it that much. I clicked on it earlier. No, I ran it a few days ago, and I had to yeah, Discord's a little annoying that every time it updates, I have to unfirewall it again because the firewall thinks it's changed. I did that, and then I heard like this bloop. It set off my virus scanner. And now I haven't been able to use the desktop version since, unless I want to give that authentication. Here, oh, that's right, I can't. I took a screenshot of where it was, of the file. Let's see, Discord. Yeah, okay. It was under the user app data directory or local Discord app modules. Okay, a lot of directories. The file is called notificationstate.node. So maybe they're including some spyware or something in theirs, or oh yeah, and it gave me a link for my antivirus. Now I can have false positives sometimes on this, but the old version of Discord did not set off my virus scanner. So yeah, I thought I should mention that. Okay, so I was not asked to throw the round of that GOG tournament. I thought for sure people would get me because I don't know. I almost never play like one-on-one like deathmatch stuff. So I thought the finalists would be better than me at that. Though I did have an unfair advantage in that I just muted a bunch of other players so I didn't listen to them, so I was just focused on the game. And I think that's the reason I won. Because I'm not a great multitasker, but the thing is I know that. And maybe other people think they're good at multitasking but aren't as good as they think. There are no Lost Moon Gaming episodes. Metal Dave as half HL Princess. No, those are different people. Video chats are pre-recorded. No, they would be smoother if they were. I don't know what SFD is. The movie was not finished in 2017. I really wish it was, but I'm not a voice actor for anything upcoming. I did do a cameo line for somebody. Oh yeah, no, for Tom. I don't think he minds me. I'm gonna have another cameo. Tom White, Weird Video Games, asked for one. So I won't say what. I'm playing a character. Ross doesn't have permission to edit his own games list. That one, there might be some, I don't know. I did at one point. I may not. And that applies to other aspects of the website. So, yeah, there might be some truth to that one. There's definitely some truth for some aspects of the website that is the case. Richter over time is Noam Chomsky's grandson. No, I must be a user. Not just bribing Ross to hide the movie, not at all. Blessed Farms. It might be an interesting image. Curtis is John Carmack. No, he's too. The character or Paul Morgan Stetler. I mean, I'd say he has more emotion. He has more of an emotional range than John Carmack. Yeah. Russ had to flee Poland because of an incident with unreleased Pigeon Hunter 2. No, I did flee, but not because of anything imminent. The movie was ghostwritten by Jeremy Clarkson. No, but if I had really good writing help, will include them, and it won't be a ghostwriting thing. They'll get credit. I mean, Ross's controlled opposition installed by Big Oil. No, but oh yeah, I think I saw a question that I missed going over it again, where they were concerned that they were gonna die by climate change, and I was thinking they seem more certain of that than I am. However, I do think we're on a trajectory where the only option is what I really think we are gonna be on a trajectory at some point. The only option does become blotting out the sun. It's just that I really hope we don't use sulfur dioxide for that, because that's basically making the whole world covered in acid rain. And we should do something that's more inert but still gets the job done. But yeah, I'm going to talk about this in probably in the follow-up. I don't know Flint Youngblood. That's at the bottom of there. Death as a Service, I do know about that one. That's that weird thing that Palmer Luckey made as like a performance art thing where it was like a helmet that's designed to kill the user if they get a signal from. That's not, even though I'm into VR, that's not my scene. So that's, but I did hear that one. Yeah, I think Palmer Luckey's more out there than I am. Russ was eating his forum mods prior to the Begathon. No, although I've probably badly neglected the forums and mods and things related to that. So the Britain is someone. No, the Britain's helped me with some things on the site, or a few small things in videos. Okay, so yeah, I don't even know this full iceberg. The movie is buried in Harold Parker State Forest. No, it just needs to get done. Is the unfortunate reality. PlanetSide 2 cease and desist. No, I don't know. Just it was like almost clicking, but not quite for me. Okay, well, oh yeah, MacGyver meeting. Yeah, well, that I did start that, but no, that was a fib. But the image was but he looked so much like him. Yeah, Paul Dean. He looked like Paul Dean Anderson, or that I felt like it was worth making the fib, and people would, figure it out. But okay, well, I think I should wind it down. Let me look at the rest of the live chat questions. Still planning an amusement park vacation as mentioned in previous chat? No, I don't have one planned. That's just if I were to take a vacation, that's what I'd like to do, It's very different things, Okay. You know that lady outstars from Poland? Yeah, she was a representative at GOG, I think, or I don't know if she still is or not. She was my contact for a while for like this kind of ad deal I had going briefly with them, but that sort of fell apart. I don't know if she works there anymore. Did you play Outer Wilds? No, that one's on my list, the ones I want to play. I wasn't sure if that one qualified as AAA or not. I did play the Outer Worlds, though. Ross is Florinth from Realms of the Haunting. I forget which one Florentine is. I thought it said Florinth for a second. I forget which. I don't remember the names of anyone in Realms of the Haunting. I remember the characters, just I don't know their names at all. You weren't supposed to see that. The person who posted that will disappear soon. Well, you're gonna have to come up with a better one then. Stuff that. Yeah, I'm most impressed by the doesn't have permission to edit his own games list. Well, I mean, obviously I do on my end, but once it goes on the website, I let someone else put that up there, to save me time on it. But there are aspects of the website I would not know how to change if they've messed up and I need help with. So I'm most impressed by that one. Yeah, like I saw one that somebody made a bingo for Game Dungeon, and the one that cracked me up was like performance issues with a 10-year old game, 10-year plus old game, and that hadn't occurred to me consciously, but I realized, yeah, that has happened quite a few times where like this real old game has performance issues that like my system should be running circles around it, but instead we're choking, Have you heard about the Lost Planet 2 situation? Game is basically dead, killed thanks to Games for Windows Live. I doubt that. Maybe the legal copies are dead. I would be very surprised if there's like no crack for that. Do you have plans to visiting USA or return? Not really. I mean, it's expensive to just even fly back, and plus staying there for a while, and then also the paper. Well, this is a minor thing. It leaves an impression on me. The paperwork for my taxes almost doubles if I set foot back in USA for like a day. So, but I mean, maybe I will eventually. But it's mostly the time and money is the main reasons. So. All right, I think it's been 3 hours. I think I better end it now. Freeman's Mind will be. It's not quite that simple, but it's basically done on my end. But I'm not going to rush the people working on the sound because I'd rather they do a good job. And what I'll probably be working what's most immediately coming next is probably going to be the easier side video, not the one that's just turning into a black hole. And I'm debating what I want to start on with the next game dungeon, because I kind of wanted to make like another kind of summer vacation episode, but I'm worried by the time it gets done, it'll be scrambling that it's not really summer anymore. So I don't know. I have to decide soon. Because the game I was gonna do. Okay, no, I shouldn't give too many details because it's still gonna come out. All right. Yeah, do it. That's what the chat's saying. Well, okay. Well, if I don't do it this year, I'll probably do it next year. Is what would happen. But no, there actually is one reason to do it this year. Actually, a minor one. I'll see. I'll see. So yeah, I might do another summer vacation style game dungeon. Maybe, or I'll figure something else out. All right, I better go and do stuff then. That sounds like where I should stop this. So, thanks for showing up. Oh yeah, and they'll probably have another interview. If I can line someone up, I'll probably have another interview next week, but probably this month. You know, so it's what? I'll just see who is available next and the people who contacted me. I'm trying to go basically in the order they came in. So, and that'll be my plan is to start uploading that to the Accursed Farms junk channel, which I think it probably fits better there. But I might make a short sort of PSA video to put on the main channel, letting people know that's what happened. So, okay, I better go do stuff. I'll see you.